My people, my people, my people. We are here. Coach Jay Merrill right here. Coach Sean right here. Incoming great Ty Hayes. Super coach, super debater, super innovator. We'll be here shortly. Just tap in, hold your horses, and he will be making a grand entrance at any moment now. Jake Merrill, what's going on with you, coach?
What's going on? What's going on? Good morning, Bama Lee, right? Bama football on YouTube. Happy you guys are joining us this morning again. Like as Coach Sean just said, we got, let's see here, this side. There you go. I'm getting it down.
Jake is
right hand, left hand.
That stuff is crazy.
I know, man.
Okay.
But no, man, it's great to tune in this morning. We got Coach Sean. We got Ty jumping in with us here shortly. Which is going to be a fun morning with all of us. We're excited to be here with you guys this morning. And then I think later you have us till about 10 a.m. Central Time, I think it is. And then at 10 a.m. you have your man who the channel, right? Mr. Kyle Henderson himself. And I know it may possibly guest with him later today. So it's going to be a fun packed morning for you guys on this beautiful Friday morning. Wherever you're coming from, where you are coming from, let us know. We want to know. And make sure you run those thumbs up.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? As we roll into this morning with your Alabama Crimson Tide news, everybody.
For sure. Who we got in here, Jake? Let's see. We got Corey Waldrop. Roll Tide to you, Corey. Good to see you in here, bro. Kevin Lynch. Roll Tide, brother. Good to see you up in here. Lax is in here. What's up, Lax? How you doing, man? Mike G. Roll Tide to Mike G. Roll Tide Patty is in here. What's up with you, Roll Tide Patty? Good to see you. Lisa Baker is in here. Roll Damn Tide. Colin is in here. Colin B is in here. What's up, Colin? How you doing? Mickey Pate is in here. Roll Tide to Mickey Pate. Hacker Music is tapping in here. Lisa's from Marietta, Georgia, representing, doing her thing. Much love to you, Lisa, for coming in here from Georgia. Love that. The brother Hacker Music, as I said, and just waiting for everybody to tap in, man. Good to see you guys.
That's right.
Man. Hope you guys tap in with us and stay tapped in with us. Just like Coach said, please hit that like button on your way in, if you will. Joe Van Johnson. What's up, Joe Van Johnson? C. Bama's in here. Greg Hardy just tapped in. What's up, Greg? Roll Tide. Oh, Greg, you from the A? What's up, Greg? How you doing, man? My family down there. What's up with you, Greg? How you doing? My family down there on Crutcher Circle. You know what I mean? How you doing? Good to see you, Greg. Man, good to see you, man. Roll Tide to you, man. William Brown, Roll Tide to you, man. How you doing? Much love to you, William. Good to see you guys in here. Please, if you will, hit that like button. B-Ham is in here. Colin B got several former teammates from Birmingham. Birmingham is like my second home. Shout out to my boy R.I.P. with Watanji Adams from 33rd Avenue in North B-Ham. A lot of bros, you know what I mean? A lot of my partners from down that way. You know what I mean? It's like my second home. Shout out to my boy Gary from the Zipco. You know, all of them Alabama A&M alums. Shout out to Valerie K. What's up, Valerie K? If I say your last name with a letter, that means I don't want to butcher it, right? I got a lot of respect for you guys, and I don't want to say it wrong, man.
I think it's Kataj.
Kataj. What's up, Valerie Kataj? How you doing? Roll Tide from AZ, Arizona. Oh, West Coast. That's right, what I'm talking about, man.
West Coast.
That's where Ebony is. Ebony Carter's in Arizona.
That's right.
Rocket Town is in here, Jake. Rocket Town is in here with us.
Oh, Rocket Town, good man.
Yeah, man. Oh, Kevin is from Charlotte. Yeah, man. I love Charlotte. Love me some Charlotte, bro. I listen. Everybody needs to take a trip to Charlotte. Trust me.
Really? See, I've never been. I've never been to North Carolina.
Oh, Charlotte is wonderful. Lots of great scenery in Charlotte. Trust me. Yes, Charlotte's wonderful. Absolutely wonderful.
Yeah, okay. Love Charlotte. All right. I like it, man. I like it. You know what? As coach, I gotta say, is Birmingham. I will say this as of what I've seen. Man, Birmingham, the revamp they're doing of Birmingham is amazing. Right?
Since they built Protector Stadium right in that area, It started looking like, Birmingham is definitely.
I mean, I've always enjoyed Birmingham. You know what I'm saying?
My second home.
I've always enjoyed Birmingham. I've always enjoyed going to, I can't believe I'm blanking on the name. Hoover too. I like going to Hoover. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. See, a lot of people forgot this. A lot of people forgot this. Only people that's real Birmingham Stonians would remember this.
Yeah.
Hoover didn't used to be Hoover. Hoover was Berry High School. It was River out in it was out in the River Chase area, the Hoover area. But when Hoover started growing, Berry, it just became its own city. Kind of like Madison and Huntsville. Madison was just the county of Huntsville, but then Madison got so big, it had to. It's its own entity now. You know what I mean? Shout out to Corey Waldrop, Huntsville represent. You already know, home team.
Girl dad,
the Ville. You already know the Ville, which has the most people in any state in Alabama right now. Huntsville is they call it Hunts Vegas. It's visit Huntsville. You'll be happy that you did.
I'm pretty sure I've been. I have been Huntsville. I used to live in Gardendale. I lived right next to Gardendale High School, and you know what's funny? I had to work.
Partner went to Gardendale.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Kerry McNeil. Yeah.
That's I like Gardendale. It's a small little
it's small.
I love their Waffle House.
Yeah,
man, I will go in that Waffle House in the morning, and the sun's up or sun's coming up. See, I used to work. I had to work like 2 jobs when I was living there, right? So I'd work. Yeah, I'd go over to Hoover by Hoover Mall, work at like Dick's Sporting Goods. Okay.
Yeah,
I know the Dick's Sporting Goods over by the Hoover Mall.
Oh yeah.
And then we'll work there. And then when I got a shift, I would go to the Target in Fultondale.
Yeah,
I would go to that Target next to Hibbett Sports, which I'm going to tell you guys what, until I moved to Alabama, I had no idea what Hibbett's was. There was a lot of things I had no idea of that were blessings, right? I was like, oh my God, I love the South.
If you like Gardendale and Fultondale, you'll love Huntsville. You'll love Bridge Street. You'll love Town Madison. You'll love Cliff Farms. You'll love Mid City. We got all this stuff here, man. Top Golf, Dave and Buster. There's so much stuff here.
Dude, Top Golf there is sweet. I like that Top Golf.
My recommendation is this place called Twin Peaks. You need to go check it out. It's wonderful. It'll change your life.
Okay.
You should Google Twin Peaks. If you like Hooters, you'll love Twin Peaks. They call it Twin Peaks for a reason. Check it out. Ask Greg Hardy. Ask Greg Hardy. Ask Rocketown. Ask Corey. They'll tell you what I'm talking about. Right on University.
Dude, man, that's fine. Yeah, I'll have to check it out next time. Yes. The BAM.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Leave the missus at home.
Oh, I hear you.
Respectfully.
Fair
you know
enough.
What I'm saying? Look at Greg. Look at Greg. Hold on. Let's put Greg up there. Look at Greg.
Hey, man.
Greg say.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Oh, it always cracks me up. Hey, also, if you're coming to us, because just now I have realized, forgive me again, but we are also doing Facebook Live now, people. Facebook Live. So if you're coming to us from Facebook Live as well, please run those thumbs up, give a shout out, share with family and friends who are also big Bama fans or just football fans in general of SEC or just college football in general, or just like good chit chat and some guys talking real, authentic, original stuff, because that's what we're doing here every day. And today we decided, me and Coach Sean actually coordinated. Just kidding, we did not. But we're sporting white tees. It's White Tee Friday.
White Tee Friday, bro.
I like it, dude.
Need to make that a thing, Jay.
We do need to make that a thing. That's the way to go. White Tee Friday, baby.
Dub TF.
So,
not feeling fresh, but White Tee Fridays.
Oh, I love it. I love it, man. Nah, man. It's y'all need a broadcast from the Twin Peaks, like college. That'd be kind of fun. Man, I would be down.
Wonderful. If Kyle and them ever come up here, that's where I'm taking them to.
Oh man, well, I'm gonna come see you, Coach. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, right, you got to, bro. We going from there, and then I'm gonna take you to one of my favorite places just for food. I love Taco Mama. This Taco Mama over here at over there by Town Madison is wonderful. I love it. They're quick. I like checking health scores when I walk in. It's a 98, so that is outstanding. It's clean. It's great food. It's good people. Check out Taco Mama Trust me, they got everything you want.
Dude.
Yeah, it's a lot of things up here, man. It's crazy because this is how you know it's a lot of people in Huntsville. Last year, it was a trash pounder game going. That's the baseball team up here, packed, right? Across town, you had a concert at the amphitheater. It's an outside venue.
Yeah.
You know, holds about, I don't know, maybe 8,000, 5,000, 6,000, 7,000, something like that. Packed, right? And then they had a soccer game down South Parkway going on, packed. You know, all at the same time. Yeah, so it's straight, man.
It's constantly going. Well, and that's the beauty about the South. It's either you know, one thing I realized is like, man, one of the things interesting to me about Alabama was that the fact that like you go and the weather could be really good. I mean, I had some hot days. Don't get me wrong. There's some hot days, but for the most part, I enjoyed the weather. I did. Yeah. And the winter was so. It was probably. It was the. I'm from the Pacific Northwest, right? And granted, I lived in Montana for a little while, so I mean, I know snow, I know some cold, but man, that winter was so cold. Like I was like, holy smokes, you know. And I'm good with it. That's like my morning routine. Is I gotta do a cold. I'm like cold water guy in the morning.
Yeah.
Everybody like crazy. Some people are like, that's insane. Like, why would you do it? No, man. Get your mind working. You're feeling ready for the day, right? Like I'm like ready to roll. Cold water. I need it. If I can't find cold water, man, I'll just go find some ice, right? You got to get in a hotel. Sometimes the water takes forever to work. And you know, if you're too high up and not in a hotel, that's not that good. Sometimes the water's a little weird, you know.
Bro, that cold. I stayed part of my life in Chicago with my father on the South Side, and I've had a rough cold, right? When it's -7 and the wind blowing and your eyelashes sticking together, man.
Brutal, man.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. You know, I'm an Alabama kid and I lived with my dad for all those years, man.
Yeah.
I was like, this is madness. You know, the tropical brothers, we're tropical people, right? Cold is not in the tropical brothers' DNA. So this little skin of mine, bro, didn't know how to handle it, brother. You know what I mean?
I feel you on that, man. Like, see, I'm a warm weather guy myself. Like, I can deal with like the humidity, not except when I'm sleeping, right? If I'm sleeping or trying to sleep and I'm like sweating, man,
that's horrible.
No, hell no. Like I can't sleep. Horrible. You know what I'm saying? So it's not for me. It's not for me. I am not that guy. But I mean, it's cool, man. Like I like the fact though that like I can get outside especially with that nice weather and get it done. That's where I like it. So, you know.
Shout out to Merden Mofi. What's up, Merden? How you doing? Chris B is in here with us. Mike Esposito is in here. Esposito is in here. Mike G. Mr. B205. We were just talking about the ham, Mr. B.
Yeah.
Steven Scuba, Roll Tide Steven, EJ Riggins. What's up, EJ? How you doing, bro? Price Man is in here, right? How you guys doing? Price says so much BS. I don't know. Maybe he was talking to somebody. I don't know. Lived in North Dakota for 12 years, coming from Alabama. The first couple of winters were brutal. Everybody say the winters in Alabama were brutal. Now, I think it's more that Alabama is not equipped for super duper cold weather, like snow and things like that. It's like I don't think Alabama is equipped to handle that. Nicole Covington is here, Jake. If Nicole's in here, it's time. You know it's time to kick it. Nicole, what's up with you, girl? Good to see you. Yes. So we're waiting on Ty to pop in. I guess we can go into a subject, you know what I mean, if you want to. Good to see you, Nicole. Thank you for coming, girl. Thank you for coming. Mr. B says, when I was in the Army, I was stationed in Colorado. I'm not a cold weather person, but I loved it there. Everybody tell me they love Colorado. Everybody say I've never been.
For sure.
I've never been. Jay Mills is in here.
Colorado. I'm a Colorado guy.
You been to Colorado, Jake?
Yeah, it's pretty.
Is it nice?
I visited University of Colorado at one like unofficial.
I heard it's beautiful.
Recruiting. Yeah, it is, man. Like I enjoyed it. You know what I'm saying? Like I thought it was cool. It's the beautiful campus, man. University of Colorado, man, beautiful campus. I'll tell you that. But yeah, it was a good time. I enjoyed, you know, how pretty it was, and It doesn't. It's not. Just a different type, But I'll tell you this, man. Jumping into topics, I did see first and foremost. I did see with for those who obviously haven't noticed or what, Andrew Babaloa, a big offensive tackle we were going after recruiting wise. Looks like he's not taking a official visit here. So it's a bummer. I know we were hot on Babaloa. And that's disappointing, man. Like, when you put in all that time and effort on kids with recruiting, right? And we'll jump into some little bit of recruiting this morning, because one of the things also that was exciting though was Caleb Cunningham. I think a lot of people had taken Caleb Cunningham and said, hey, we haven't heard much about him. He's a hometown Mississippi dude. L&L, what's up, man? And I see you, Jermaine, what's going on? And Kevin, what's up? But, that's one of the things is this recruiting process is so interesting. You put a lot of energy in the one guy, right now, they're really, really focused, and you can start to see it. That wide receiver room, they're going after it. We're hearing a lot about it. They're obviously looking for what quarterback they want to bring into the already great quarterback room, which is exciting to see. Personally, I really like the SMU commit. That kid is a stud. But when you look at this offensive line, which is, I would say, Coach, I would say is your foundation, right? Yeah. You look at whether it's the NFL, whether it's college football, especially when you get to the level of Division I college football division, honestly, any real division in college football. But I mean, in high school, give and take, right? Like, I was lucky enough to play with a studly offensive line in high school. I mean, at one point, I think my sophomore, junior year, our offensive line averaged like 6'3", like 290. They were huge. Wow. Huge. Absolutely huge. One of them, one of our dudes played for WSU and then played for Tennessee Titans for a long time. So that was cool to see. A lot of fun. I mean, there's a lot of guys who play college football from those teams, but yeah, I get the focus of offensive line. What's your take looking into this? Offensive line recruiting. Where do you feel like is our main focus, and how do we get after it? Yeah. Ty Hayes, everybody.
The man himself, Ty Hayes, is here. T-double-dot-H is here. What's going on, Ty? How you feeling? How you doing?
I'm glad to be out of the vet's office. That was wild. Went in to get my dog some shots, then they found some lumps on her.
Oh,
so
man.
Then they had to run. Oh, no. It ended up being just fine. She's older, so she's going to have little fatty tumors. And they told me nothing to worry about, but they had to test every single one of them. And so all good. How we doing this morning, gentlemen?
Good.
Doing good, man. Doing good. Can't complain at all. Ty, how you feeling, bro?
Good. Now, what were y'all were just talking about some offensive line recruiting, yeah?
Yeah, Jake had just threw a question to us, and just pretty much where he was just asking about the offensive line recruiting and where it stands, and he was informing us that the young man that he was speaking about is no longer, as of yet, taking a visit to Alabama, which kind of was a bummer. But I feel like offensive line, we're gonna need some depth there, especially after this year. It's gonna get real interesting after this year, because you could potentially lose. Well, you will lose both guards. That's a whole fact.
Yeah.
Tyler Booker and Jaden Roberts, this will be their last year of college football. You can guarantee that. Both of those kids will be drafted.
That's correct.
Probably
your tackles are young. Yeah, exactly. Your tackles are young. You'll still have Parker Brailsford. So you got a good core of kids, especially if somebody like Wilkin Formby starts this year. That'll give him a really important year. Wilkin is a redshirt freshman. So is Miles McVay. Going into their sophomore season, of course. So is Miles McVay. Elijah Pritchard is sort of an underlier. As we all know, Caden Proctor's a freshman going into his sophomore season. So the guys are young, but your interior offensive line, as far as your two studs on the right and left of the center, this will be their last year. So what you think, Ty?
Yeah, and listen, Gino Vandemark is someone who has multiple years of experience left, right? Then you still have Ola Salin, and you still have a Rock Montgomery. Yeah. You've got some names. Now, who was it, Jake, you were talking about that's no longer...
Yeah, it looks like we for now, right? Because the recruiting window is not even close to being over. We are still very much early into recruiting. You can verbally commit, but as we just saw with LSU and their stud commit wide receiver, for those who haven't seen it, real quick, I will pull this up for you guys.
Did Decorian Moore decommit?
He decommitted.
He's going to Texas.
You think so? So I heard, there was a couple different schools they had kind of listed out.
I would bet copious amounts of. So a while ago, he was committed to LSU, and while he was committed, he dropped to top 4. I've never heard of that in my life. I've seen people be committed and take visits. I've never seen someone be committed and say, these are my top 4 schools. That was brand new to me. But he's a Texas boy, right? Yep. Now here's the thing. Sark and them have KJ Lacey. I don't believe Sark has offered Keelan Russell yet out of Duncanville.
Yeah, that's what I was just talking about.
Colin Simmons is at Duncanville, or was at Duncanville. Now he's at Texas. I would imagine, because after this year, they lose Isaiah Bond, right? Like they're going to need a guy at receiver. They have Wingo.
Yep.
But I would imagine they get him to stay home. I think he's probably going to end up at Texas.
Yeah, that's so interesting. I love that insight, Ty. And that's getting real back to the offensive tackles, Andrew Babaloa. So it looks like Babaloa from what it's interesting that, it seems like we put a lot of energy into him, which again, it's not even
anymore.
Huh?
He's not taking a visit anymore?
Nah, man, he's taking an Auburn visit. I'll tell you that.
So does he already have his 5 officials?
Yeah. Let me see here, because I just was having it up. But with him, it looks like with Babaloa, we're looking at, just maybe he finds more interest. I know Stanford was one of them. And I was just looking through it, and I'll have to find it again because I was just playing around with this. But it's still, it's just a bummer that, some of these guys, maybe they'll grab, something else or whatnot. We did see that the safety that we are going after, and that would be, let's see here, Hayes, I think it is. Hayward. I can't remember which one it was. I'll have to take a peek. But I know that he added Georgia and dropped Florida State. Lagonzo? You know what I'm talking about?
That's interesting on Babalola, because out of all the offensive linemen in this class, he was the one that had a pre-existing relationship with Kalen DeBoer. Kalen DeBoer and Washington were after him, so that's really surprising. Don't like that, because I know Alabama is making up ground on Ty Haywood out of Denton Ryan.
Yep.
But OU, from everything I understand, is solidly in the lead. And I'm not saying you can't win over OU, but ladies and gentlemen, Bill Bedenbaugh. Listen, Coach Cap is a great offensive line coach.
Great.
Bill Bedenbaugh might be the best offensive line coach in the nation, and I don't know how much of an argument there even is to it. Doesn't he have the highest paid center, highest paid tackle, one of the highest paid guards? He just sent another cat to the first round of the NFL draft. They had more offensive linemen in the NFL currently than Bama by 1. They have more offensive linemen that were in the playoffs and in the Pro Bowl. Bill Bedenbaugh is, now granted, Alabama hasn't had the greatest offensive line coaching, I think, from a college level and from a schematic level the past 2 years, but hopefully we can get Ty Haywood. I do know one of the guys that cover OU told me Bama's making up ground there, but it's just about beating Bill Bedenbaugh and OU.
100. And I think, it's a good point, because then you also look at, Sanders, right, with Junior. And, what interesting kind of his looks too, jumping over to Nebraska to take his visit, right? You guys hear about the Nebraska visit?
Yeah.
Raiola is the offensive line coach.
Who's?
Dylan Raiola's uncle is the offensive
right.
line coach.
I'm going to tell you guys what, Nebraska is making up interesting ground in this recruiting field. They are starting to get some notice. There's a lot of energy there. And to be honest, I'm happy for Nebraska. I think it's been a long time like coming for them. They needed something. They needed some juice. Everyone thought like Scott Frost would be able to do it. And obviously he just, it's a bummer because I know he had a lot of passion for it, but sometimes your philosophy and what you put around you impacts obviously what happens. Now, I will say though, like Sanders is still a huge priority for us. You guys know who we are talking about here. The number one offensive.
I think Bama was the last visit. I think
that's right. Is he last visit for Sanders too?
I think he got to go. He got like several. When I looked, he had several different visits scheduled. If I'm not mistaken, it looked like Bama was his last one. We get the last official, I think it is. He had a couple of different places to go. I read where he was taking all the family to Nebraska this week. But by the time you go to Nebraska, you go to Georgia, you go to Texas, you go to all these other different places.
Clemson, I think Clemson's one of them.
I'm not sure how Nebraska will be. That first visit is the one that I wouldn't want to be. I want to be the last one.
Always. There's just something to be said about it's so hard to leave such a strong impression early on when you're doing multiple visits. And granted, Alabama will always be Alabama, and that will always be something that sticks in these kids' mind just because of what type of obviously facilities and being in a position, I think in general at the level of prestige that the university is and what it's done. You walk in there's not a lot of other schools you can walk in and see the championships, Heisman's, and see just the legacy and history so deep as you see at Alabama.
Yeah.
So I think it still leaves an impression, but being the very last one is huge. Just like with, I saw in the comments to John Lee and Derek Meadows, who's another big time wide receiver who I personally, I am all about that guy. I love it. But the Caleb Cunningham news was exciting because I did not hear a whole lot through this spring about Caleb Cunningham. And then to start hearing him again pop up of saying how much he has love for Jamarcus Shepard. Now, he did make an interesting comment earlier on a few months back when he was visiting during spring ball. And he had said, with his relationship with Shepard, he's like, if you want to, be the best, right? If you want to, this is the place to go because of Jamarcus Shepard. So, or something along those lines. It's not a quote. Everybody, it's not quote. It's just a summary of something that he said. That was very impressive to hear from him. So it's nice to see that this is coming to fruition because he's very much a hometown guy. And that's why everyone thought Ole Miss or Mississippi State, right? But man, it's cool to see kind of what's going to happen with that. It's going to be an interesting one.
Adam poses a question for you guys, man. What do you think about that, Ty, Jake?
Let's see here. Go ahead, Ty.
Carson Beck's a solid quarterback, man. We'll figure out how good, right? Like we know he's good, but how good? We'll figure out this year. The SEC championship game, I mean, he had 5 of them could have been intercepted. 4 of them hit the defensive back square in the hand like this. And I don't know if they'd gotten into the Butterfingers before the game, but you could have cut the head off the snake of Georgia something serious had we intercepted those 4 passes. Because I think that at least one of them led to a field goal, one of them led to a touchdown. So you're talking a 10-point swing, assuming Bama doesn't score. Like if Bama gets 10 points in their favor, now you're talking about a 20-point swing. He's good, but how good? We'll find out this year.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'm spot on with that. The Heisman talk is interesting. I just think he gets thrown into the mix just due to the fact that he's at a prestigious university, right? That everyone right now is considering number 1. He's coming back. It's very much the Quinn Ewers talk as well. Like you're out of school, you have depth. There's a lot of talk. You made it to the playoffs. You have this history. You get thrown into, and Quinn had a great season last season, and Carson for the most part did too. So it's not like you don't leave them out of the talk, right? But at the same time, it's very interesting that you do not see. This drives me insane Why would you not bring in Jalen Milroe though as your number one contender? The guy was right there on the cusp, right, of being there with everybody else.
Had a higher QBR than Quinn Ewers and maybe Carson Beck. Let me check.
How is he not your favorite? The only other guy I can would even consider, and correct me if I'm wrong, because maybe you guys think differently. The only other guy I would even consider maybe close, just based on some of the things he did last year, in my mind, was Dillon Gabriel.
And this offense, it's going to be interesting because Dillon Gabriel has really only ever known Jeff Lebby. And now Lebby is the head coach of Mississippi State. Gabriel is at Oregon. But from a schematic standpoint, I think he fits that offense perfectly. Coach?
Yeah, I do too. I'm very high on Dillon Gabriel. I do think he's a system guy. But the kid throws the ball well. You know, if you want to break it down to the nuts and bolts, the kid throws the ball well. He obviously understands different type of offenses. I like Dillon Gabriel. I'm gonna tell you something else too. I like Carson Beck. Beck, man, because yes, he had the tight end. We all know Brock, right? But when you look at the way they used him, Kirby did not use him the way Quinn Ewers was used at Texas. Outside of, when you look at the receivers that Quinn Ewers had, I would dare say Texas wide receivers were phenomenally better than Georgia's wide receivers, right?
Oh yeah.
I like Carson Beck, man. I just don't think Kirby used him right. I know he had a lot of pass attempts, but a lot of his stuff were dink and dunk. He threw the ball downfield late in the season well. I just don't think Kirby used him to his talent very well. Kirby wants to run the ball and throw when he has to, right? And I think that's part of their problem, playing against teams like Alabama. You trying to force your will upon a team that's built to stop your will. You know what I mean? Yeah. So you don't give your QB enough chance. Now, just like Ty said, there were several times in the game we played them that if the hands weren't a little buttery, we could have blew them out, right? Turnover. But I like Carson Beck's tools. I personally like Carson Beck a little bit more than I like Quinn Ewers. I've seen Quinn. I know what Quinn. I like Carson Beck. Carson Beck.
He's in my head because I was just about to pose this question.
Okay.
If you said Ty, you can have Beck or Beck or Quinn.
Give me Beck.
It would seem easy to just go Quinn. I mean, he's got a higher upside. And while I agree, his deep ball accuracy, everything he does is good, but the deep ball accuracy. He was last in the Big 12 in the deep ball accuracy. Against Rice, he was 0 for 7, right? Like we even saw against Washington. He had A.D. Mitchell. Guys, Texas could have won that game against Washington.
Yeah.
But the last pass, instead of it being a driven pass, because he wasn't but 20 yards out, he put a lot of air up under it, and his deep ball accuracy is what scares me. And Coach, it's funny you say that. I don't mean to take a shot at somebody right now, but I did the other day, so I'm going to do it now. It's interesting that Isaiah Bond leaves Alabama, has a little bit of smack to talk about Jalen Milroe, saying, "Oh, I'm going to go to a place where they get me the ball," and he goes to Texas, where Quinn's deep ball accuracy is.
Do you freeze there, Ty? I think Ty froze. I know exactly where you're going with it. Though.
Am I frozen? I'm not frozen.
Oh, you're good now. You're good. You're back.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so he goes to Texas. Quinn's deep ball accuracy is way lower than Jalen Milroe's. Jalen Milroe had the second highest in the country. And then someone asked me, actually, it was a while ago, Nino asked me, he's like, Ty, do you think that y'all lost out not having Bond? And I was like, yeah, no doubt. He's a very talented guy. Coach, am I crazy in thinking as a junior in high school, Ryan Williams already has a more complete route tree?
That's a whole fact. Brother, I'll even go as far as to say this. If you're talking about wide receiver etiquette and route treeism and attacking the route, man, it's not even close. It's not even close between. Isaiah was a great athlete. He was fast. Now, he may be long distance faster than Ryan, right?
Interesting about that, Coach.
Yeah.
Isaiah Bond, and apparently it hit me with the thumbs up, even though there was no thumbs up. Isaiah Bond ran a 10.49 his senior year.
Yeah.
Ryan Williams ran a 10.49 his sophomore year.
Yeah. So they about right there foot for foot. But as far as wide receiver, a route tree and attacking the route and a better quality of wide receiver coming out of high school, it's not even close. Those two are not even on the same page. And I'll say this. I don't know this for a fact. Somebody have to fact check me on this. I'm pretty sure Quinn and Carson's stats are very similar. I would dare say Carson may have thrown the ball a little more because he did a lot of dinking and dunking in the beginning of the season. I bet their stats are very, 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 very similar. But when you look at the deep ball accuracy on third and long, give me Carson Beck, man. I'll take Carson Beck any day of the week over Quinn Ewers. It's not in the landslide or anything like that. But I like what Carson Beck did. If you remember, if Kirby had stopped being stubborn and threw the ball a little more against us in third down situations and not made so damn predictable, even though Carson didn't play well against us, it may have had us on our heels a little bit more because we never had a threat of a pass. Alabama played to stop the run. They didn't worry about giving up the deep ball. It was never a surefire, yeah, they're going to throw the ball. It was never that in that game. And we played them for that, just like that. Kirby never, ever gave it an opportunity to get out of hand with his pass game. And that's his one weakness, if you ask me.
I got the stats pulled up right here, Coach. Beck was 302 completions out of 417 attempts for a completion percentage of 72.4 for 3,941 yards, averaging 9.5 yards per attempt with 24 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, and a QBR of 86. Quinn Ewers, 272 completions out of 394 attempts for a completion percentage of 69%. Once again, Coach, to your point, Quinn actually as well threw one of the highest percentage of passes at or below 3 yards in the nation. So this is one of the things that's interesting to me. Not long ago, I did the top 5 SEC quarterbacks, and I put Quinn one spot over Beck. And the more I've gone back and watched, the more I'm like, I don't know if I would, because Quinn has had the luxury of working with Sark and AJ Milwee, and still, though he's great in every other area, the deep ball problem still persists.
It's a fact.
You got two of the best offensive minds in the game, and Quinn's QBR is lower, coming in at 78.3. He had 22 touchdowns to 6 interceptions. Then we can look at Jalen Milrose, where Jalen Milrose threw 100 less passes than Quinn Ewers did, but he had nearly a comparable completion percentage, higher average yards per attempt, and a higher QBR.
And missed a game.
Yep, and missed a game.
So tell me this, Ty. Quinn probably did too. How many times did Quinn throw the ball?
He threw the ball 394 times.
What about Carson?
417.
Yeah. I figured that Carson probably threw the ball a few more times because he did a lot of dinking and dunking in the beginning of the season, an astronomical amount of dinking and dunking, I guess trying to get his brand new quarterback into a comfort zone, whatever the case may be. But Kirby, make no mistake about it, Kirby is a ground and pound guy. He wants to run the ball, play action you to death. Georgia has not changed their remedy. Now, they throw the ball a little bit more and go 5 wide every once in a while, but Kirby is a power guy. He want to play solid defense and run the damn ball. Please believe that. And I think sometimes he hinders that offense, man, because Carson can let that thing ride. Carson can if you give him opportunity.
Well, and let me pose this too, because this is interesting, right? From the standpoint between Ewers and Beck, okay, then you put in the fact now that you see, I want to bring Jalen Milroe back into this picture because you get to see, and I know everybody, I know from a standpoint that a lot of people get sick of the Milroe debates back and forth, but I think this is really an interesting fact. You look at the number of even throws Milroe has compared to Beck, right? Compared to Ewers, okay? Because it's going to be significantly lower, if I'm correct, okay? On top of that, you now start to think about a quarterback's mindset. You think about what quarterback, when you really decrease that amount of throwing the ball, how hard is it to get in a rhythm? How hard is it when the inconsistency, especially within those first few games for Milroe, was difficult, obviously on the coaches. That's why they make this switch. Okay, Saban was like, okay, I need to see something else. I'm just not happy with what I'm seeing. Can we get better production elsewhere? Okay, Milroe took that, and you can go two different ways. You can go one way of saying, screw this shit, I'm out. Okay, I'm done. I have that, poor me attitude. Or you do what Milroe did, and you have this, it's all good. Let's get it. I want to win. I want a team first, right? So your mindset at that point, you have just overcome a major hill. Okay, major hill, big adversity for an athlete. All right, that's like a confidence like shot, right? You lose a lot of confidence. You can at least. Didn't happen to him. Didn't phase the kid's mindset. Okay, so now he goes back in, right? Back in, okay, and again, and we see these numbers. And Ty, thank you for throwing this out here. Milroe threw for 284. Okay, now we're going to jump over, look at Beck, 417. Now look at Quinn, 394. Okay, and you on top of that, you look at this entire game, right? And a lot of what was going on with the scheme and throwing the ball from the standpoint, and you look at this and you just say, hold on 1 second. This guy comes back into the game. He runs the rest of the season throwing less passes, does not get into this rhythm, this feel for the game, right? So every game, and on top of that, we've talked about some of these dink and dunks, but what's beautiful about DeBoer's offense is the way it sets the quarterback up for success. If you go back and watch, and Ty, you've seen this, Coach Sean, you've seen this, you guys both can speak to this. Washington's offense early on in the games, what do they do? How did they set up Penix for success? Did you guys see it in the films you watched at all?
100%.
Yeah, a lot of run the ball, play action type things to suck you up in the box, and then they destroy you. They almost force you to run one safety high. We never did that. We never were even patient enough to run the ball enough. It's almost
100.
like, man, the game script with us, man, was so ridiculous, right? Mm-hmm. We never stuck with the run enough to even make people respect it. We hadn't been that way in a couple of years now. I'm not sure we sort of been all over the place,
Mm-hmm. Well, and let me say this too. It's interesting. I want to bring this up from the standpoint that with DeBoer's offense, also besides the run, they try to establish run early, and that could very much be a Grubb thing. Okay, that could very much. Ryan Grubb is an offensive line guy. Remember that. That offensive line aspect, those types of coaches, they are very heavily run oriented. That's how they like to set up their pass games. Nick Sheridan is different. He is a quarterback coaching quarterbacks, or was a quarterback coaching quarterbacks, and now has a very different viewpoint. But was also nice with Kalen, and you see this with all of his offenses, the way he sets up his quarterback for success in the game is these early passes, right, that are timing based, quick separation routes, okay, and are getting the ball out very quickly for athletes to make their moves and get comfortable. Not just as quarterbacks, but also as wide receivers, right? As I say, his tight ends. Everything is a quick hit into these gaps that allow you to make a move, make some plays. Let's get that blood flowing, get that arm flowing, get that mind flowing. Let's suck that defense in, suck it in. And now what do? We go vertical and we spread that field out. And we take one-on-one shots. And you see it over and over and over. That's why at Doomsday, right? Rome, it was complemented so amazing when you had guys like Jalen Polk and McMillan, who both are taken very high in the draft, as you guys saw. Okay, that's what set Odunze up for these deep shots where he could utilize his body, utilize his size, utilize his strength. We're going to see the same thing with guys like Kobe Prentice, okay, with guys like Odom. Hence why maybe they move him. You see what I'm saying? And then guys like Ryan Williams, put him in space and let him make plays like he does. And then we can just go down the line of our list of wide receivers. So to think about this, and why I bring this all back to what's important is Ewers got to do that. Beck gets to do that because of the style of offense that was ran for Beck. Milroe didn't necessarily even get to do that. He didn't even get a warm up, and the guy's hitting deep balls like it ain't no thing. And his pass attempts are so low. So what happens now when he gets an offense that trains him, gets him ready, and gets him set up? here's what I'm going to tell you right now is we're about to see Milroe have a phenomenal year in a very complete step as a full, like a passer, seeing the field and feeling confident in his ability because of the way they put him in positions of advantage and success. Period.
Shout out to here we go. Jonathan McMillan for the $10 super chat saying, I'm not sure if y'all discussed this or not, but what transfers do y'all think could make a big impact this season? We will dive into that next. Let's hit a few comments, and I'm going to leave this one up, or I'm going to star this one. That way we can get back to it. Now, gentlemen, I have been told, right, and I've said this before, I did moot court in college, and there was a moot court tournament where every time I walked into the room, the lawyers that were operating as our judges would look at me, and without fail, for 3 days straight, every round I got, have you ever been told you look just like Mark Ruffalo? But I've never gotten this one, right? Mark Ruffalo, he's the one who plays the Hulk, right?
Oh, yeah. We know, yeah.
This is a new one. I've never gotten this one before.
Interesting. I could see it, Ty. Maybe it's like the shape down, you know? You know what I'm saying?
Call me wheelchair Jimmy.
Oh, dude. What?
You do favor Drake a little bit, though.
Yeah, I can see with the beard, right? Like the feature's down. Yeah, no, I can see it, man.
Ty's cheeks and Drake's cheeks,
man, yeah.
You know.
Yeah,
you got Drake cheeks.
No. Not after the L he just took. Not after the L he just took.
Man, dude.
Whereas Smook been? Smook is making fantastic content over on the Coach Smook Network right here on YouTube.
Yes, sir.
Highly recommend you check that out. By the way, Coach Sean just recently started a channel, Coach SPH here on YouTube, putting out fantastic content. And I as well have a little bit of a channel called Around the Table Sports. Would love to have you a part of each and every one of those, as well as you being over here. Listen, the best content is when you get it from multiple different people,
100.
And then you can sift through those opinions and form your own, right? That's what this is all about. But let's get to this one right here. Jonathan McMillan with the super chat saying, I'm not sure if y'all discussed this or not, but what transfers do y'all think could make a big impact this season? Let's start down the line. We'll go Merrill, then Coach, then myself.
Oh man, you guys put me on the spot because there's so many that I like, and it's so hard because you can look at like foundational transfers, you can look at explosive transfers, you can look at guys who make impacts in so many different ways in the game. I think we have to look at it from let me start on the defensive side, right? Because I think for me that's probably the key and that's my area of expertise and what I love, right? Just because, man, I'm gonna be honest with you, dude. That's why I played safety. I love to just drop somebody, man. Oh my! When you hit somebody the right way, it's like a knife cutting through butter. I hit this tight end real quick. Story time, real fast. This dude coming across the middle. They run the flood route. Tight end goes right behind the linebackers, dude. I'm sitting back, and his quarterback's like highly touted at the time. He's being recruited by all the Pac-10 schools right at that moment. Great baseball player too. But next thing you know, man, I'll tell you this. He drops the ball to the tight end. Dude turns, looking at line of scrimmage, grabs it, run towards the sidelines. I timed that baby perfectly. Hit him as the ball hits his hands. Broke his shoulder pads in half. Took his helmet off with all the stuff coming out. It was beautiful. If I find the highlight, I'm bringing it so you guys can see it. But man, I'll tell you what, there's nothing like it. So with that being said, I like Keon Sabb on defense, everybody. Okay. Keon Sabb, to me, man, that dude is a playmaker. He's a great addition. Losing Caleb, right, was such a hard, difficult thing. Because I really, man, I'm a huge Caleb Downs fan, right? Just from an overall athletic standpoint, he plays safety, so that alone just gets me in the heart. So it was disappointing, and I had followed him through high school too. Just watching his career and watching his progression, and I was so excited for him to have that opportunity to be the greatest. Right? That's the part, man, where it just kills me, man, because in history, Alabama has a special place in history that no one will ever forget. So for me, it's 100% Keon Sabb for the standpoint of replacing Caleb Downs. I think he's a great fit, and that's what I love. I think the next on offensive side, and I'll tell you guys, I've said it before, my big one is Parker Brailsford because of what he brings in his solidification to offensive line, which is the key to winning. Yo,
what's up? What's up? What's
How you
up?
doing?
What's up? What's up, Coach Sean, Coach Merrill, Ty? What's up, man?
Oh, I just got told I look like Drake.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Listen, I'll take it.
Yeah.
But it just took me back. It definitely took me back. We're talking transfer portal additions. Jonathan McMillan asked a fantastic question, asking what our favorite transfer portal additions are that we think could have a massive impact. Coach Sean is just about to tell his. Then Kyle, I'd love to hear yours, and then I'll take us home, even though I can't play baseball at all.
Yeah, I think over the past couple of days, I've had some guests on the show. Coming up at 10:30, you have Donnie Lee Jr. Does anybody know who Donnie Lee Jr. is? Coach Sean, do you know who that is?
Donnie Lee Jr. I don't.
Yeah, so Donnie Lee Jr. played here at the University of Alabama in 2016. He was kicked off the team by Coach Saban, right? He went back, rebuilt himself, and this man has now he's basically the biggest mentor, biggest trainer to the youth here in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Basically, went and made a deal with and he'll tell a story at 10:30 and kind of the overall impact that this man has had from terms of like a fatherhood mentor perspective has been amazing. So he worked out a deal with the Tuscaloosa police chief to basically better the city of Tuscaloosa through working with the youth. So he's put over 80 guys, with Division I scholarships. He owns the lab here in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, which is basically where you go and you get your work in. So we'll have him at 10:30, and I think it'll be a really impactful interview in terms of fatherhood, mentorship, and kind of just this new energy that Alabama has. So definitely 10:30. That's when I got Donnie Lee stopping by. I've had a couple guys, roll through this week and talking to them about the transfer portal additions. I think it's been easy to say Caden Proctor is the biggest addition that will be most impactful. For me, I'm going to keep standing with Graham Nicholson. I just feel that, and I think sometimes you're like, a kicker, really? Yeah. Like if you don't have a kicker, I don't care how good this team is on offense and defense. There's nothing worse that'll give you more anxiety than when you line up for a 42-yard field goal in the fourth quarter and you hit it wide left. So I don't want to go back to having anxiety watching Alabama football, because I saw Alabama before Will Riker got here, and it was kind of the only area that they didn't need to tighten up on. And now that you have Will Riker, that anxiety went away. But I do like what he's done in the transfer portal. I'm still kind of waiting to see what happens with Khalil Jacobs. I don't know if you guys have talked about that this morning, but there's a lot of things going on. But I feel that Graham Nicholson is the guy right now that will have the most, that will be the biggest impact, and I believe he will lead the team in scoring this year, as kickers generally do.
Yep.
For me, that's exactly where I was going. Caden, that's who I was picking on the offensive side of the ball. Caden, if you've been watching the show, I've been extremely high on Caden, even when we was, everybody was deciding whether it was a smart thing to take him back. I am under the mindset you cannot function without a left tackle when you're a right-handed quarterback. You just can't. The offense just won't work. So I would go Caden on offense for obvious reasons. Kid was a freshman. Obviously, he had his freshman ups and downs, but there were times in games where Caden dominated his opponent. He was straight out of high school. So I don't really hold a lot against that kid, especially with the type of offense that we were running, trying to make Jalen turn into Peyton Manning and hold the ball for so long. I would go Caden on offense, and on defense, I would go Damani Jackson. I think Damani will have the greatest, being that other corner and being an experienced guy who played at USC in a ridiculous defensive scheme, I might add, but playing here, really, really getting an opportunity to play real man coverage and show his skills, show what he was good for. I think he's going to have I think Damani's going to have a huge season. I think Damani's going to be a one and done guy. I really believe this kid is going to have a huge season. So I would go Caden Proctor on offense and Damani Jackson on defense.
Coach, I can't disagree with you. I think anybody who has watched this show, they know I am so excited for Damani Jackson. Now, I like a lot of the transfer portal additions, but in the spirit of giving a different viewpoint, I'm going to go LT Overton. Listen, we're switching the script on this defensive front. It's going to be a little bit different. And what do we get? We get a former 5-star who was a top 20 player in the nation after reclassifying, had 24 something sacks. I think he had 44 sacks between his freshman and sophomore year of high school. Reclassified as a junior, went to Texas A&M, was the number 1 player in all of America until he had reclassified. He's now going to be playing at his natural position.
I like it.
I think that's going to be awesome. And even if it's him and Jamarian Latham and Jordan Renaud, all kind of cycling between Keon Keeley as well. The fact that you can now say for Alabama's defensive front, and y'all will love this, you look at that position and you're like, okay, so the depth we have there is LT Overton, Jamarian Latham, Jordan Renaud, Keon Keeley, unbelievable. You look at the 2 interior guys. You're going to start off with Tim Keenan. You're going to have Jaheim Otis behind them. You have Tim Smith. You have James Smith behind them. You have Edric Hill, Jeremiah Beeman. I mean, you got some guys right there, not to mention your pass rusher, who's going to be Quindarius Robinson, Keanu Cott. We have Yanze Pierre, Noah Carter, Quay Russaw. I think LT Overton just provides a level of depth to this defensive front that takes them to the next level. Though, Coach, you took mine, right? Like, Damani Jackson is the guy. I think he could be in for, I don't want to jinx it, I think he's got all-American talent, right? Like I do. I watched him, Jake, get frustrated at that stupid defense that they call the Speed D that hasn't worked since 2013 at Washington State. He inherited an Ohio State defense that was number 30 in the nation, tanked it to number 89 in the nation. The year after he leaves, it's a top 15 defense. I digress. But I watched him get frustrated and take someone's head off because he was just like, I'm tired of these stupid calls. Bam. Nailed someone. Offense, Jeremy Bernard.
Kyle's up.
Hey, so this the new NCAA football trailer just got released. You guys want to do a quick reaction to it? I'm gonna play it, and then I'm gonna put it on the side of the screen. Let's watch it. And then kind of give some takes on it. Is that cool? You guys down with that?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, let's do it. All right. Okay. Let me see if I can get it going.
God, I'm so excited for this. You guys don't even know. Don't even. Right. Oh my God, I'm so excited for this. Right, I got to save my reaction. Hold on. Let me bottle it real quick.
See if I can. Hold on. Let's see if I can.
I'm going to include if there's an Auburn highlight in here.
This is from your boy Hayes.
Can you full screen it, Kyle?
Let's see. Is that better?
Yeah, let's zoom out a little. Just a little bit more.
All right, thank you.
A little more. Let's see real quick if that plays the full thing. Oh, I think so. I think we're good. Yeah. Yeah.
Finally, it is here. You can take all that just another game stuff and throw it out.
Oh, dude.
The eyes of the nation are on this field today, and that's what these players live for.
Oh, yeah.
Welcome to the jungle. We got fun and games. We got everything you want. How do we know the name?
Oh, sweet.
Whatever you may need. If you got the money,
Woo!
Is that Bama?
Yeah, it was Bama.
There's no rush.
Yeah. Oh, get out of here with that. dude. Oh my God, get out of here, God.
There you go. Nice deep ball.
Nope. Of course, they give Michigan.
I wish they had Bama walking down the tunnel with Coach DeBoer, like Coach Saban used to lead them out.
Oh my
I
goodness.
know.
Crazy.
That's the only thing that I was like, man, where I hope I see that. But did y'all see? It looked like Damani got the turnover belt in that one.
Was that Damani?
He's number one, isn't he? He's going to take number one.
Oh
Yeah.
man.
Yeah,
Wow.
he had the turnover belt.
Start up, Todd. Your reaction to that, man.
Listen, I've already apologized to my wife. I told her. I got her flowers last week and told her, hey, in a month or so, I'm going to be in my little cave and you're not going to see me for a very long time. I'm going to come out looking like a hermit or something, and I am going to dominate NCAA 25. You can bet your sweet pippy on that.
Coach Sean?
Yeah, likewise. Man, I've been waiting on this game since the other ones left, right?
Mm-hmm.
Love this game. I cannot wait to make myself running back for the University of Alabama, right? So I cannot wait for it. The only thing that would have made this thing better is if they had a little small couple of second clip of Coach DeBoer walking down the tunnel with Alabama to Thunderstruck. That'd have been great.
Merrill?
Man, I'm gonna tell you right now, this game right here is what like made me into the mindset of like a college football player, period. I used to make myself run through all like the dynasty modes and everything. But what was cool, man, was like you could like fully immerse yourself into this like crazy unique world. And now you see this. Now I will say right now that BS Georgia little clip of Sack and Mill Road, that doesn't happen, guys. Have you seen real life? Have you seen the size of Mill Road? The guy power cleans 445. Come on, get out of here.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But man, I super excited. Great video. Great nods to all the teams in general.
Yeah, as Patty is saying, Roll Tide Patty inside the comment box, you can pre-order 3 days early to get early access. Game comes out if you pre-order and get that early access on July 16th. Otherwise, it comes out July 19th. My takeaways, look, this has been a long time coming. I used to literally have notebooks saved of stats that I played with dynasties, like dating back to the oldest copy available. So I have all of those copies. I remember when they used to send out the book that would have the actual plays within the book. I did that as well. I will definitely join the dynasty. I will definitely go through it. I will be all in, and be something that we're sharing right here on Bama Football on YouTube. So maybe we have Ty on the sticks, because Ty, a lot of people don't know, but Ty was ranked in 8%, right, Ty, of Madden. So you might be our game player right here on Bama Football on YouTube. Ty, you up for that?
It's been a long time.
Well, you can have to.
When I used to play Madden, it was dastardly. Coach Sean, I was telling him the other day, I was playing someone on live. It was one of my friends, and they were like, I told him, I was like, I'm gonna score 50 on you. He said, you're not gonna score 20 on me. He quit the game in the third quarter, and it was 77-0.
Yeah, Ty don't play. Yeah, so I'm all in. I can't wait to see how they're able to manage like the transfer portal, or if there's like some NIL in that, because you know how there's like those when you're not playing the game, there's other items that you have to take care of within your dynasty, right? Like this player is upset because he didn't get 3 receptions last game, and how they kind of put that into the game. Of course, playing with the Alabama Crimson Tide, I cannot wait to see what the players are rated. Let me ask you, Undefeated, who do you think the highest rated players will be for Alabama? And I did a short video about that yesterday. I mean, Jalen Milroe, coming back, you got to think he's like a 96, something like that, right? With like a speed of like 94, 95. I don't know. You know how they do the ratings for the top players? Coach Sean, who do you think will be like just 2, 3 of the top rated players for Alabama? Just shoot from the hip.
I think Jihad Campbell, Malachi Moore, based on him being there so long, and probably, believe it or not, Tyler Booker. They'll probably have Tyler Booker rated extremely high for an offensive lineman. And lastly, this game being the way it is so good, this game is going to put pressure on the Madden game to redo their whole thing. Watch,
because the Madden game is the same game, just a different cover.
Exactly.
Just right?
Copy and paste. Exactly.
Yeah. I have Madden.
I'm so nervous.
Yeah, and I'm like, I go to buy Madden, but then I buy Madden. It's super expensive. I'm like, this is the same game. I just bought for a different cover.
Game. Yep.
I don't know. Merrill, who do you think the top 3 rated players will be? Milroe and who else?
Yeah, for sure, Milroe. And then I think you look at, I agree with Coach on Booker. And I feel like Booker definitely is going to be. You know what? The other one could be top rated wise. That might be one that people don't necessarily think about though. Is I potentially see this maybe, but I see it. It could be another offensive lineman. It could be Roberts.
Yeah, I was thinking.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I was thinking Milroe. I think Tyler Booker might be the highest rated player. I think it's probably Milroe then, and then I think probably Deontay Lawson, Malachi Moore probably up there as well. Jahad Campbell, I think that's a great addition. So having those guys come in. What about you, Ty?
Yeah, I think that you guys nailed it. I listen, Kyle. I don't know if you've seen it, but I've showed Coach Sean. We broke it down with the undefeated. I showed Coach Jake. There's a clip that I have retweeted a while ago, and Tyler Booker, the first clip of him in this film against Texas A&M, what he does should warrant a first-round grade on that clip alone. Chips the first guy into the center, throws his guy out the club, and then has the athleticism to continue his motion to supersede Elijah Pritchett and chip the edge so that Milroe has time to throw the pass. It was incredible. It's one of the most impressive clips I've seen in a long time. I think Booker might be the highest rated player on the team. I think Milroe will be up there, and I'm going to go in a little bit different way. I think on defense, you're looking at one of two. I think that Deontay Lawson or Damani Jackson are going to be rated, but you already know I'm going to be playing that middle linebacker when I'm on Dynasty. And I'm going to be on Deontay Lawson, and I'm going to be picking off quarterbacks left, right, and center because that guy's athletic. But I'll tell you, a non-Alabama player who might be the highest-rated player in the game probably could be Travis Hunter.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, guaranteed.
I mean, that guy is in – guys, I don't care how you feel about Colorado. You break down Colorado film, and you're going to be at the edge of your seat watching Trap. He's spectacular.
Yeah. Did you know this?
Is incredible.
He only plays man coverage. He don't play zone. He don't. If I watched it and I wanted to go back and make sure, they only let him play man. They just give him the receiver, check him, whatever. Play man coverage on your own, depending on what they're doing. But man coverage, that's why that kid's gonna get drafted because he can man up on somebody and really work the receiver. That's why that kid gonna get drafted.
I'm gonna send you a clip I have on my Twitter, Coach, of Travis Hunter, and it's a bunch of clips of him being on his assignment, watching the quarterback, like the receiver will be on just a comeback, and he's within 3 or 4 yards of the receiver. He's so fast, he's not worried about that 3 or 4 yards, but he's watching the quarterback, and maybe there's a guy, they're hitting him with the layering concept, right? So there's a guy back behind him. He'll break off of his wide receiver and intercept the route behind it. I mean, it is insane. What he does.
Yeah, that's a great example. What you just said, and for everybody in the chat, that's a great example of vision coverage. By the way, guys, that's how vision coverage is supposed to be played. So if you guys start if you do watch that film on Travis Hunter and kind of see some of the things, the concepts they do with him, that's vision coverage. So because he drops into certain lanes and then he uses his athletic ability based on how the quarterback is progressing through his reads. And unless he's playing against a really advanced quarterback who can really look him off well enough, right, and get that ball out extremely fast, that's vision coverage because you just put yourself into a position to make plays, whether it's here or there. So that was a great example.
I'm going to get him to transfer to Bama.
Mm-hmm.
Is it me, or did they show Clemson way too damn much? Coming down the rock, touching the rock, coming out like, come on, man. I saw Clemson like 4 times. Like, okay, I get it. How was Rock? Great. I enjoy it. I love it.
Guys, did y'all hear? And I don't mean to make this just a general call, but did y'all hear what Dabo said about the transfer portal the other day?
I did. Mm-hmm. I did.
Kyle, did you hear it?
Yeah, and I was thinking about doing a short video on it because I felt like, those comments were something like that we really hadn't heard before from really anybody that's saying that, the players in the portal aren't good enough to play for him. He's taken 0 players from the portal, and he said all of our transfers, we did take transfers, they're just from high school.
That was so stupid.
So like, I don't know, what's your take here, Ty, in terms of like how he's utilized or how he hasn't utilized a transfer? I mean, is it that Clemson just can't pay this amount because of this and that, or is he just refusing to adapt? And we all know if you don't adapt, you die.
I think he just refuses to adapt. Like, here's the thing. He is the type of coach, and I don't necessarily mind this. Brent Venables does this, but Brent Venables is what happens when Dabo adapts, right? And I'm not saying in terms of overall success. I just mean from a mindset. With Dabo, if you commit to Clemson, you're done. Like, you're not taking another visit. If you take another visit, they pull that scholarship and say, okay, go ahead. OU does the same thing. The difference is OU, like, I don't know. Like, they're much more willing to take transfers. Brent Venables has been phenomenal in the transfer portal. But we talked about this on Around the Table Sports the other night with Hayes. And, Hayes is the consummate professional. He's not going to chime in on this. But I did the negative talking for him, right? The other Hayes, let it be known. Vanna says, Dabo said what? Dabo said, Vanna, that technically he took a bunch of transfers because every player that he recruits is transferring from high school to college. And when he said that, I just sank my hands and my face in my hands. And I was like, there's no way you're serious. You cannot refuse to adapt in college football and expect Florida State. You got to play them. They're taking transfers. Yep. Miami, you got to play them. They're taking transfers. You're going to get left in the dust by all these other coaches. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, man, it's weird. I don't understand, I guess, why you would put yourself in a position to almost have this like negative backlash in outlook. Granted, is it like a strategy thing whereas in players from high school, the guys that you're going after, maybe these higher end recruits get more feel better about like their opportunity to get playing time? So then does it push them in a mindset towards, is that like kind of the goal here, or are you just free balling it? You know what I'm saying? Like, hey man, I'm just letting it happen. Whatever happens. It's all good. So that's an interesting aspect. It is what it is though. Dabo, if he succeeds in what he's doing and this goes well for him and he has a decent season and something, then you know what? Good for you. It worked for you, I guess. You know what I mean?
I think it was interesting to kind of, watch kind of Dabo Swinney over the last, 5-6 years, because there was a time when Alabama, and I talked about this yesterday on my show, or during my segment, was like Alabama fans would have graciously had him as the coach, but then something completely changed where then even when Alabama was needing a new coach, they didn't want anything to do with Dabo Swinney at all. And that's fine. It was just amazing because like 5-6 years, and he even came here one time to like as part of that 1992 team, and he got like a football and stuff like that, and people went crazy for him. And even thinking about like where he's ranked as the overall top coach in college football, like he has won a national championship, right? Like I saw him take it to Alabama out in Santa Clara before, but that is not the same Clemson that Clemson is today. And I always thought that Brent Venables never really got the credit that he deserved because he was kind of so overshadowing as the name. And now you see Brent Venables at Oklahoma. That's why I think like we should never sleep on Oklahoma, specifically, Alabama fans going to Oklahoma this season. Like Brent Venables is a damn good football coach.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I have a unique perspective on Dabo. I know a lot of people personally that know him personally. I'm cool with Antonio Langham, me and my boy Darryl Green. I know, and Dabo's a loved guy, but I'll say this: I also hear these kids. I was at the VTO camp in Atlanta in 2022. I know what the kids' parents are saying. So the vibe around him,
yes,
is not about football. Is what I get from parents, and this is what I've been told by people. So. Dabo's just trying to stick to his guns. I respect that, but I'll say this: he better win. You better win, brother. With that perspective of, you're not gonna even entertain the transfer portal in a day and time when these kids are going everywhere. I hope he's successful doing that. If not, then it could possibly go the other way for him.
Yeah, man. That'll be interesting.
And I don't know, like the ACC, when you look at it from like a snapshot, I would imagine that Florida State is clearly the favorite. I mean, you have Miami. I was just kind of shocked to see how much Mario Cristobal is being paid, and they really haven't delivered. I mean, so you kind of look at the Florida programs, right? You have UCF, who, by the way, Ajay Hall. Do you guys see that? Ajay Hall is going to UCF.
Yeah. Well, they're in the Big 12.
Yeah. So you have them. You have Florida. I'm just talking like programs from Florida. I mean, Billy Napier, and with that schedule, that could potentially be a coaching change. Mario Cristobal, I don't know if he's on the hot seat by any means, but they want more out of him. Florida State, I think, they're desperately trying to get into the SEC or the Big Ten because they don't want to get left out of this new world of college football. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see. But I think with the transfers that went to Florida State, I think, Earl Little, Coach Sean and I talked about him many times, thought he would have played here. Terrence Ferguson, I can't imagine what he's thinking every single time he sees a transfer go out, right? And I don't know. I'm just kind of curious to see what happens with the ACC. I would imagine that Florida State is quality, but I don't know, if they're running the table like they did last year. But then again, if you look at their schedule, it's really easy.
Yeah.
No, I don't see that. I don't see Florida State running necessarily a table. I'm going to be honest. I think they lose to Miami. I think bringing in people don't realize how good like Cam Ward is. Cam Ward is. I mean, I've watched Cam Ward now, especially within the Pac-12, WSU too. I mean, Cam Ward is very, very good. That was a huge get for Miami, and I'm going to be honest with you on the Florida State side. Unless Norvell has some magic superpower, I don't know why you think DJ Ugalele is going to be freaking good. DJ, you watched him at Oregon State. The guy's throwing motion reminds me of Tim Tebow's throwing motion. You're like, whoa, what is going on here? Not the most accurate. In high school, he was a stud, but then even at Clemson, he had a lot of struggles. That's why he got replaced, right? Why Clemson, you start to see that downhill kind of turn a little bit. So I don't know where everyone's going. Well, because Jordan Travis, he was huge for Florida State, huge for everything he did. So I don't know. That's where I'm at.
Not only Jordan Travis, but they had those two outside wide receivers that they don't have anymore, Keon Coleman, and then the other guy who was like 6'8". And that offense, I said it after week 4. I didn't like Florida State's offense. It looked like a Madden offense. Just go and we'll throw you the ball. And then listen, I understand Norvell was politicking for his team, but he told on himself. The truth, Coach Sean, to quote you because it's so true, the truth is in the details. He told everybody that backup quarterback they had could go and win a national championship. And that backup quarterback he had so much faith in him, he told him, "No, we're not going to use you next year. We're going to go get DJU."
Yeah.
Okay.
Fact.
Okay.
That's a great point.
But, Coach, before I pass it to you, Kyle, you said you thought that Mario's in an interesting position. If Mario Cristobal has Cam Ward diminish in his play any, I'm going to think he should be on the hot seat. Tyler Van Dyke was a top 10 quarterback in the nation, and that guy, he's now fighting for a job at Wisconsin.
Yeah.
If he goes and another quarterback underachieves under his tutelage, if another offense struggles under his tutelage, that seat is going to be mighty warm because that's an easy schedule. It's the opposite of the Napier problem. Napier, if they make a bowl game, build him a statue. Mario, if y'all don't make a bowl game, you're out. I'm sorry. I don't want to say
I'll say this
but
really quickly.
ridiculous.
I'll say this, Ty. I'll take the other side of it. I don't think Miami's going to beat Florida State next year. And I'm going to tell you why. It's nothing great that Florida State is doing. I have zero faith in the coaching staff at Miami. I think Miami has had all the talent in the world and done less over the last couple of years than practically anybody. Yes. I think these guys have talent upon talent upon talent. They don't develop people very well down there. The fans don't support them very well down there. They have a great quarterback. I think they'll go 8-4 as usual. I think they'll have a semi-great season. I don't have zero faith. I think Mario's an outstanding recruiter, but he's a coach, right? I do not believe these guys are going to have a big season at all. I've watched them load up on talent like this before, and by mid-season, they're all fighting each other. The fans upset. They talking about fire Mario. I don't have zero faith in Miami. I think Mike Norvell is a better coach than Mario Cristobal. I think Mike Norvell will piece together something at Florida State to have a decent season. I really do believe that. They got a lot of young talent on that roster who got embarrassed by Georgia. The whole world was talking about that. The whole world still talk about that. And I do think, and it's not for something that Florida State's going to do well. I just don't have no faith in the Miami Hurricanes whatsoever, even with Cam Ward.
Yeah, I agree.
Dude, that's fair. Just with Cam Ward, man, like in general though, I do have to say, Coach, that's where I'm on the kind of opposite end, is that I just feel like Cam Ward's such a playmaker. I mean, you look at his ability, the offense he's already played in, and I think that's what saves Cristobal in all of this, is that the Cam Ward aspect makes him look a lot better. I don't think, in Ty, you had brought this up about the previous quarterback. How do you say his last name? Is it Vanda from Miami?
Yeah, Tyler Van Dyke.
Tyler Van Dyke, that's right.
Yeah.
I don't think Van Dyke necessarily, granted, he was coming out of high school, but he goes over to Wisconsin, and now he's having a hard time trying to get into the winning over a starting position. That doesn't speak a lot to me. That doesn't impress me with his play then, right? Mm-hmm. That's where my argument would be, is okay, so wait a minute, time out. You're supposed to be this good and you weren't. Now, it also doesn't impress me that from a standpoint of what Cristobal had from a development aspect, but I don't think you get that with Cam Ward. That's why Cam Ward was on that cusp of the NFL, right? Cam Ward, in his own sense, he shows up this season, does his thing. It gives Cristobal, buys that time to, do what he needs to for this next season. Cam Ward buys himself into a top 5 draft pick. And I think that's the mindset of Cam Ward and why he selected to not go to the NFL and come into college, right? So I think that's going to help Miami a lot. I think that's going to take a lot of pressure off. So
yeah, I hear you. I think Cam Ward is freaking awesome, man. But I watch these guys, man, load up on talent. They brought in De'Aaron King with Manny Diaz. They bragged about how this kid was awesome. Yeah. And the coaching staff ruined him. They ruined him. I know there was a different coaching staff. Yeah, I understand that. That was Manny Diaz and his guys. It's going to be interesting to see. I want to see. Cam Ward is everything you said, plus he's awesome. I just don't have no faith that they're going to use him right. I don't have no faith. They got the running back from Oregon State. Excuse me.
Oregon State Martinez.
They got talent on top of more talent. They just got a defensive tackle yesterday or today, another one. So we'll see. I think Miami, to me, is a classic example of teams with outstanding talent, but the coaching staff all pulling in different directions. I want to see what they do with these guys this year. I have zero faith in those guys, but it's definitely true what you say. They have everything you said is spot on.
You know who would be a dangerous coach at Miami would be Eli Drinkwitz. You put him there. Imagine, look what he's doing at Missouri, and Missouri's punching above their belt, and they'll be a challenge. They'll be formidable when they come in here to Bryant-Denny Stadium for sure, 1,000,000%. Look what they did last year. Imagine him at Miami with the resources. He's kind of like a goofy type guy on the surface, but the guy has proven that he can coach football. Same thing like you were saying, Coach. With Mike Norvell. Say what you want. I don't personally like the way that he handled the back end of the season, and again, I don't like the way Coach Saban handled the front end of the season with the whole quarterback stuff. But based on what he's done, Florida State, I thought they were going to be kicked out of college football after Alabama was done with them. You saw they were a train wreck. This is the Florida State that we grew up playing NCAA football with, that we loved, right? We loved, war chant, that was part of the college football fabric, and they were just done. And he did a rebuild on them to where I didn't feel that they were a playoff team, pretty damn close. So I think that they're the front runner. Somebody asked who's going to win the ACC. I would imagine it'd be them. All eyes on them, and I think they'll utilize Roydell Williams really well. Malik Benson didn't he get hurt?
I don't know if he got hurt, but I do know that he's had some ups and downs in the spring.
Yeah, I don't know if he got hurt or not. But Patriot Life, we appreciate you, man.
Patriot Life.
Yeah, man. Patriot Life always taking care of us. Thank you so much, Patriot Life. Nice truck, man. That's the Patriot truck that he's got.
Dude, that's badass.
Right?
Badass, dude. I'm a truck guy too, man. Yeah. And I love that. Love it. I've been driving that hardcore every day.
Yeah, I need to get some new tires on my truck too. But I don't know. That's the ACC. I mean, have we even had a time? I have an interview coming here at 10:30. We'll wait for Donnie Lee Jr. I want to introduce him to you guys too. So he's good people, man. He's just like what he's been able to do at 10:30. He should be rolling in pretty soon. What he's been able to do for Tuscaloosa and the student athletes here, like huge impact. I'm telling you, like monumental impact. I'm not just
Donnie Mitchell, right?
Yes.
Yep.
So he's not going to talk about that. No doubt. He's not going to talk about this, but so basically, if there's a player that Alabama has that is going through some off the field stuff that needs the mentorship, they send him to Donnie Lee Jr. So that is the type of mentorship, and that's a huge responsibility, right?
Huge,
right? I mean, it's a huge responsibility. So I'm sure it was tough for Donnie to see, and we don't even know what's happening with Tony Mitchell actually.
I haven't heard anything.
Oh man.
Yeah, right. Because I mean, he's just in the portal at this point in time.
That's like Tyu Jones-Bell, who entered in the winter portion of the portal. He's still he hasn't committed anywhere, and I was really hoping he would go find a home and have a real good season.
Where did he go?
He's not committed anywhere.
So he was because he was here at Alabama and he never went anywhere.
He hopped in the winter portal. I think it was the first few days Tyu Jones-Bell entered, and he's still not committed anywhere.
Oh, wow. Interesting. Damn. Okay, here's Donnie. If you could hear us, give us a thumbs up, man. When you're all plugged in, man. Let's make sure we can get him in here.
I hope
Donnie, can you hear us? Give me a thumbs up, man. You can? All right, cool. All right. Everybody welcome in Donnie Lee Jr. Donnie Lee, let me introduce you to the panel so far, man. We got Merrill up top. Merrill, raise your hand. So Merrill, he's a great analyst for us, talks college football. Coach Sean up in Huntsville. Coach, raise your hand. That's Coach Sean. Does an amazing job. We love having him here. He has Truth is in Details. He even has his own YouTube channel that he started up where he's talking Alabama football, college football in general. You have Ty Hayes up top. Ty Hayes is the young GOAT. This guy has a booming YouTube channel. He's mentoring Coach Sean on his YouTube channel, and he comes from the legal background. So sometimes we go to him for soft lawyer questions. I didn't even ask you about Scotty Scheffler this morning. That was crazy. But Donnie, man, just real quick while I have the guys on, then it'll be you and I one-on-one. But just say what's up to the fellas, and glad to have you on board this morning, Donnie.
Yes, sir, man. It's a pleasure to meet you guys, man. I'm a big fan. Love what you guys have been doing, man.
Let's see if we can get the audio. The audio is a little bit soft. Let's see if we can turn this down. So Donnie, before we get going with our interview here, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and because I know that one of the things that I respect about you most is the mentorship that you have and how important that is for the youth, and I'm into that as well. We've crossed paths a couple different times. So tell us about the lab and about I believe you still have are you still the executive director of the Ivy Foundation as well?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right. So tell us a little bit about yourself. Just kind of share your story, and then you and I will kick it back and forth. Go ahead, Donnie.
For sure. So my name's Donnie Lee. I'm a military kid, so I moved around a good bit growing up. We lived in Germany, lived in Korea, lived in California before getting settled in Tuscaloosa around 2008. So we came here around the same time as Coach Saban. Went to the University of Florida originally out of high school on a track and field scholarship, and then I transferred back to the University of Alabama, where I played football and ran track there as well. I was blessed to be there during probably one of the prime times of the dynasty from 2014 to 2017. So I had the privilege of playing with some really good athletes. I played with Jalen, play with Tua, play with Matt Jones, got to play with Calvin Ridley, Jerry Jeudy, Devontae Smith. And so it was a really, really cool learning experience. But it also showed me and continues to show me as time goes on how, man, the real impact and the real lessons that you're being taught during that time period isn't about football. And just recognizing that Coach Saban really wasn't concerned with how we did on the football field. Of course, we're all hyper competitive. So if the objective is winning a football game, then that's what we're going to apply the process to. But you just really learned that the process isn't everything, right? There's a process for what you guys are doing with the podcast, right? And if you don't follow that process, and you don't get the results that you want. And a lot of people focus too much on the results and not the process in and of itself. I met with a coach down at Bibb County yesterday, Coach G, and he was telling me about how they have the standard. And he was like, man, I have kids that call me to this day that haven't played in 5 or 10 years. And they're like, man, the standard, coach, the standard. And so recognizing that whether it's Coach Saban, it's Coach G, any coach around the country and any mentor around the country, we all have the opportunity to use ball to bring people closer to Christ more than anything, and to teach them that their value isn't found in wins and losses, but in how they serve other people and how they live their lives.
Yeah, well, we appreciate you being here. Before our panelists bounce out, do you guys want to shoot Donnie a quick question?
I do.
Open the floor for you guys, man. Thanks, Donnie. I appreciate you as well. Coach Sean, go ahead, man.
For me, it's not even really a question, man. I just want to say I personally love what Kyle does, what you do. I take that personally, man, because you looking at a kid who was a troubled kid, growing up right here in this state, moving to Chicago with my father, being up there on the South Side for 7 years, man, seeing my father go to prison, seeing my friends die, seeing people I grew up with all my life fall by the wayside who were much more talented than me in football, and having the opportunity to come back, move back with my mother here in Alabama and get a football scholarship to Alabama A&M University, HBCU here. You know, I personally want to say thank you for mentoring these kids, for showing these kids there's other things out there other than your environment. Even when a kid make a mistake, showing them kids, man, that it's other things, man. It's a greater higher power calling to outside of football. So if don't nobody tell you, I want to thank people like you guys for doing this, man, because people like me, there's a lot of kids out there like I was, bro. And all of them are not bad kids. They're not bad kids, man. So thank you. That's straight from Coach Sean. I want to say thank you and continue to do the works that you do.
Sir, appreciate you, Coach. Thank you.
That's a fact.
Hi, Merrill, do you have anything?
Yeah, I'd like to echo, and I've done this before, and I think it's one of the things where I'd like to echo a lot of what Coach Sean said. Where I came from, Gainesville, Texas, right? Last Texas town before you get to Oklahoma on the Red River. And it's not a bad place, but it's just very low income. And, it's one of those places where what drew me in from the legal field to this is hope. The legal field, I was in a personal injury law firm. There's not a lot of hope in that environment, but I saw 2 of my best friends get football scholarships and what it did for the town. And I've always shared, and you're probably familiar with that movie, Coach Carter. What is your deepest fear? Your deepest fear is not that you are powerless. Your deepest fear is that you are powerful beyond all measure. It's not our light that frightens, or it's not the darkness that frightens us. It's our light. And whenever we find that light, we give people the ability to find their light, because we were all meant to shine as children do. And I think for someone like yourself, that's even more pertinent, because football is temporary. Football is an amazing thing. It brings us all together. It's why we're all sitting here today, speaking to each other. And so that's power in and of itself. But what you do transcends football. It allows these young men to find that light, just as you found your light. And when you found yours, whether you realize it or not, sir, you have given other people the power to change their life just by being you. And so I truly want to thank you for what you do in the community, what you do for these young men, because it's going to be a situation where you might not ever understand the impact you have had on these people, because it's tough to eloquate what an amazing job you have been able to do. And I can't thank you enough for that.
100%.
That's a fact. That's a fact.
Merrill?
Yeah, man. I can't tell you how much just what you're doing and how much I relate from a standpoint, even from different spectrums, right? I also played college football. Now I didn't go to Alabama. I went to University of Washington. So there's the connection there a little bit with DeBoer and maybe the backside of Saban, as you guys know. I've talked about that. But man, Donnie, I tell you, I follow a little bit of your stuff too, to be honest with you. I've jumped in and looked. because I jumped into mentorship too. For those who don't know, I actually am going to share something I've never shared on this show. And that's the fact that I was actually, before I got into this, I was a police officer. I was in law enforcement. I haven't shared that just because at the same time, there's always been different takes, and that's something kind of personal. But I had a unique opportunity to do a lot of things in law enforcement and to touch a lot of lives in a positive way. I'm a very positive person, and there's a lot of good things. And I went into some specialties within law enforcement. And so I've got to see both ends, right? Because growing up, interesting enough, I grew up in a law enforcement family. What they say about that sometimes, right? When you have a dad of authority, especially authority figure, you can tend to swing a different way at times because we, as young men, can be a little rebellious. I'll tell you what. And I was there too. Same thing. Sports definitely helped me. I'll tell you, it helped me get in the right path. But getting out of sports is a whole nother thing. And speaking from the standpoint of football, you know what? Football ends. But what do you take away from sports? What do you take away from football? And Donnie, that's just pretty awesome. And I have to ask, how do guys and other people within the community, and I'm sure Kyle will jump into this and you guys will jump into it, but how do they get involved in what are some things they can do to help out in the direction, helping the youth and those around them continue to just get better in life?
For sure. Man, so there's kind of a two-pronged approach that we have with that. So obviously, we work with a lot of athletes. Not all athletes are going to make it to the NFL. If they do, that's awesome. Not all athletes are going to make it to the NBA, the MLB. If they do, that's a blessing. But the reality is that even if you make it, it doesn't last that long. And so our goal is about just trying to create better men at the end of the day, and using sport as a vehicle to do that. One of the things that I did learn over the last few years is that you can't cater everything to sports, because a lot of times the kids that have that idle time that are getting in trouble, they're not on athletics teams. They're not playing for their high school team or their middle school team. And so really try to focus on finding ways to meet kids where they're at, right? So we have partnerships with Stars Academy up here in Tuscaloosa, which is the alternative school. So if a kid is expelled from his public school, he's sent to the alternative school. And they might have 30 days there, 60 days, or 90 days. We work with Miss Tesney Davis over there. And so anybody that would like to be a part of that mentorship program, you can DM us at the Lab USA. You can DM us at the Ivy Foundation as well, and we'll get you all the information for that. We're winding down the spring mentorship program. We're going to be kicking back off with it during the summer. And so we always need good people, man. I think that's the beautiful thing about it. It's each one teach one. And ironically, man, my devotional is about making disciples of men today, right? And I think that's how we start that. And man, you hit it on the nail earlier, man. Like, I think your previous experiences in law enforcement, it helps significantly. I have a great relationship with the chief of police here. And they talk to us about that all the time. Like, how do we improve community relations with local law enforcement? We've got a program at Stars Academy called the Positive Ticketing System, where essentially if a local resource officer sees a kid doing something positive at the school, he can write them a citation, write them a ticket, but he's able to redeem that at like a Bolero or at the movie theaters or at a restaurant. So,
dude, love that.
Come on. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. God is good.
Yeah, that's amazing, man. So yeah, that's why I was really excited. I mean, and Donnie and I have crossed paths a couple times, so wanted to kind of set this interview up to talk about a couple things about pillars of life. I'm really big into mentorship, and you guys know how my group, my men's group, has helped me in terms of maturity, being a better father, and just kind of wanted to hit on that and kind of tie it into football and kind of where we're at now, since we're in May, and I kind of wanted just to highlight Donnie because he's just a hell of a dude, and we need to make sure that we highlight more people like you, Donnie, because you have such a direct impact to the youth who are so important to the future of our city, our state, our country. So man, I can't wait to rap with you, man. Hey, Merrill, Coach Sean, Ty, I appreciate you guys being on today. I really appreciate it, and I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your Friday. As news breaks, we'll keep you posted on Bama Football on YouTube. Follow Ty Hayes, Around the Table Sports. Got his YouTube channel. Coach Sean's got his own YouTube channel that is flying off the ground right now. Being mentored by Ty. And Coach Merrill is with us right here on Bama Football on YouTube. So, we got Merrill back. So appreciate you guys kicking it off on Friday, and I'll catch up with you guys soon.
Appreciate it, Kyle, and thank you very
Appreciate
much,
you.
Donnie, for the time.
Yep.
Yes, sir.
Thank
It's a
you.
pleasure, man.
Yeah,
Thanks, man.
100%, man. Donnie, love to hook up with you too after this, man. Me and you should chat.
Sure. Let's
All
make it
right,
happen.
brother. All right, cool.
All right.
All right,
Appreciate you
fellas.
guys.
God.
Yeah. Take it easy, fellas. All right, man. Yeah, good stuff. Those guys are great, man. I mean, as you can see, that's why I like to have them on the forefront here. Good people, man. And welcome in Donnie Lee Jr. I appreciate it. Before we get going, Donnie, for people who want to contribute and kind of be a part of the cause that you have, like, can you just put your email or what's the best way to like get in contact with you that I could put inside the comment box?
Yes, sir. If they DM us at the Lab USA on Instagram, or DM us at the Ivy Foundation on Instagram as well, and just express interest in joining the mentor program, we can get all the information sent to them over from there. It'll be solid. From an email perspective, for those that aren't on Instagram, it's drlee at thelabusa.org.
.org. All right.
Yes, sir.
All right, Dr. Lee at the Lab USA. Okay, cool. I'll put that up as well. Appreciate you. All right, man. Let's chop it up, man. I appreciate you being here. Feel Good Friday. Happy to that you're on the show. So I want to talk about a couple other things: the mentorship, the fatherhood, and how that impacts us. But you've been here and like you mentioned, you were during the peak of the dynasty with Coach Saban. How much did Saban's overall message to you guys inside the locker room kind of carry over much more than football and kind of the trajectory that it set you on? Because we know that Coach Saban, greatest football coach to ever live, and even what he's doing now, I love it because he's still giving back. He still cares about college football. There's not a day where he doesn't have a meeting about NIL and kind of the parameters about college football. But how much of his message is kind of behind the scenes? What can you share with us in terms of how he coached you guys up on the field, how he coached you guys up in the locker room? What can you share with us about your experience with Coach Saban, and how did he help mold you to where you are today?
For sure. Well, man, I think it's like I said earlier, I'm a military dependent, and so growing up, my parents were always very disciplined and very methodical in terms of things that we did. And so you can always recognize when someone has a military influence, if you will, and that process was very militant, to say the least. But you trusted it. I know it gets to a point of redundancy, being told, "Hey, trust the process." But you recognize very quickly that the process works. And at that age, you got guys from 18 to 22 years old in the locker room. With the COVID year, you got guys as old as 24 now. But I mean, you just see it, like when you're going out there and you go through fall camp your first year, and it's like, man, this is terrible, this sucks, and you don't really know if it's worth it, but you're just being reminded constantly to trust the process, discipline, toughness, effort, commitment, those pillars that Coach Cochran and Coach Saban really instilled in us. I think you really recognize it after you leave the university. While you're in the moment, it's just chopping wood and carrying water and beating the brakes off of people on Saturdays. You're not watching any of the media. That's one of the biggest things that none of us watched ESPN. None of us watched. We didn't read we didn't look at any polls. Definitely not preseason polls. We just didn't care, man. Like I remember I was at practice one day, and you know how sometimes they'll have games on a Thursday to start the season off. So it's like week zero, as they call it. So I think LSU had played like Florida State or something. And I was so excited to watch the game. I was like, man, it's finally football season. That means camp is almost done. Like it's cool to see somebody else playing on TV. I'm ready to get at it. And I asked Ryan Anderson, who to me is somebody who truly embodies the process and the transition from athlete to professional, because he's doing an amazing job as an entrepreneur with 22 builds. But I asked Ryan Anderson, I said, Ryan, did you watch the game last night? And he just kind of looked at me. I said, did you watch the LSU game last night? And he said, I don't give a crap about anything but this. He said, if it's not somebody that's inside of this facility, I ain't watching it. He said, I don't want to watch any of the above. And then obviously, he came out during bowl season and was like, they're opting out of the game because they're playing in the Popeyes Bowl. Nobody wants to play in the Popeyes Bowl. But just that approach to, each day you've got to chop wood and carry water, and recognizing that as a business owner now that, if you wake up any day and you don't chop wood, you don't carry water, that your opponents are, and that they'll realize the benefits of the process quicker and more efficiently than you will if you're not consistent with that.
When you were playing and when you were here during your time at Alabama, who was like the most athletically gifted like freak that you came across where you're just like, look, not only is this dude working, but he just like, because some people just like have it, and that's just God's gift. But like, who are some freaks that just like, because you're at Alabama where iron sharpens iron, 5 stars aplenty, but some people still just stand out.
No, 100%. I'd say from a physical perspective, Crazy Tony by far. I think Tony Brown is probably the best athlete that I think everybody at Alabama would agree on that one. It was Tony Brown just in terms of ability, vertical and longitudinal jumps. The guy was top 3 in the country as a hurdler. Uh, the way he took care of his body, his approach to the game, he was just a physical specimen. So yeah, I'd take Crazy Tony on that one, and you could kind of see reflections of it when he played ball.
I remember. I'll never forget. Everybody has a Crazy Tony story. I have a couple as well because that was just kind of how polarizing he was. But I remember like what I'll always remember about him is straight alpha. Like the dude would rip off his shirt, the most chiseled dude like in college football, and he would walk up the side like through the opposing team like who was practicing, right? So like didn't matter. Like that was his field. And so and then I remember him working out like he was just a character in itself. Man, so as Coach Saban, transitioned, we all knew it was coming. Where were you when Coach Saban, announced the retirement? And what were you thinking? We all knew it was coming in time. But what have like the last like 120 days like been since he retired? And what were your thoughts when he called when he said that he was out?
Man, it was crazy. I was at Thompson High School training. My phone was blowing up when I finally came back to it, and I seen somebody attach me there like, man, Coach retired, Coach is done, Coach is done. And I mean, I don't think for anybody there was a lot of shock. The timing of it, obviously, you're kind of just like, dang, like we all knew it was coming, like you said, but I guess to actually see it come to realization was insane. I was happy for Coach Saban more than anything. Him as a man, him as a father, him as a husband, because he's given the world so much as a coach already, and he's shown us what he can do as a coach. That I'm excited to see his transition now, and he's already doing an amazing job of it. Whether it's with Mercedes, he's opening up, or if he hasn't already opened up a Lamborghini dealership in Tennessee or Kentucky. Just seeing him apply the process to the next chapter of his life, because he's always talked to us about applying the process to the next chapter of ours, whether it was the NFL or whether it was life as a professional. And so, man, I'm happy for him. You look at guys like that are cut from that cloth, like your Tom Brady's. If you take it all the way back, your Julius Caesars, these guys that are just really, they have an unquenchable thirst to be conquerors. And so it's cool when you can see someone have that Thor moment at the top of the hill where they got all the Infinity Stones, and it's like, hey, I'm good to go, man. I can relax. So I'm happy for him to have that moment, and happy to see how Coach DeBoer handles the transition.
Patriot Life, one of our faithful followers here on the Undefeated. The Undefeated is the community. So, Donnie, if you have like a question, if you can't remember something, just ask them. They got you covered. So, Patriot Life is locked in. He said, just followed you, brother, locked in on the Instagram site. And then Corey is saying, you'll be hearing from me, fam. I'd love to join the program. Beautiful thing you're doing. Keep it up. And so we got a lot of support that we'll continue to send your way. Here with Donnie Lee Jr., founder of the Lab USA. We'll continue to keep his Instagram and email up on board. Okay, so this new energy comes in. I mean, Coach Kalen DeBoer, there was who was Greg Byrne going to hire? Goes with Coach Kalen DeBoer. Man, I've never seen a coach do more interviews than Coach Kalen DeBoer. It seems he's a completely different person, clearly, from Coach Saban. That offense is electric. I mean, what are kind of some early, what have you had a chance to meet Coach Kalen DeBoer yet, Donnie?
Yes, sir. So I met him in passing one of the spring practices. And man, he seems to be a really, really good person. Seems to be a really nice person. Every player that I've talked to, the one recurring narrative is that he's just super nice. Everyone in the administration, when I went to practice, they were like, man, he's just super nice. Someone was telling me a story about how he went missing the other day for like an hour, 2 hours. And he came back and they're like, where have you been? And he's going grocery shopping for himself. And that was just completely foreign to them. They're like, no, the head coach at the University of Alabama can't just do that. Which is ironic. I ran into Coach Oates at a little pizza shop here last year. When I seen him, I was like, you're not gonna be able to do this in probably about a year, right? So it's like you might want to enjoy it. But man, I'm excited to see it. When Coach Saban came in, there's a little apprehension with that as well. After everything that's taking place in Miami and be the right guy. So I think that it's a longitudinal study. Getting into expectations and projections about what he's going to do is the same as a preseason poll. So being nice is perfectly fine until Saturday in the fall comes, and as long as you're winning games, the fans will support you, the community will support you. But the moment you do not, we all know how it gets down here.
Yeah, was it completely foreign to you when you walked out? Because I went to practice as well, and they had the music going. It's a completely different vibe. We're talking to assistant coaches and stuff. It's like this didn't happen. Was it completely foreign to you, or did it just seem kind of business as usual, despite kind of the turnover of coaches?
From a practice perspective, the schedule was identical. They still went out and got their reps. There's some like aesthetic differences, like they can wear long sleeves. And I know this stuff seems like so trivial, but like you beg to wear long sleeves at practice. And Coach Saban was just not having it. You see guys with their shirts untucked, and that's something that literally was a non-negotiable for Coach Saban. But man, I want to reiterate, I don't think it's mutually exclusive, just because that's what we were used to, and just because that's what Coach Saban's process was. It doesn't mean that this new regimen, this new regime, if you will, isn't capable of winning and creating their own dynasty.
Yeah. Here with Donnie Lee, the labusa.org. If you want to email him, find out more about how you can contribute to his cause, helping student athletes, mentorship, training. You send over 80 athletes, probably more than that, Division I scholarships. What about Jalen Milroe? I know you had a football camp. I think, man, this spring has seemed like 5 years because of all the things that have happened. He's a guy who emulates leadership, big on leadership. And when you were the quarterback at Alabama, you have to be the leader of the team. Look back to the previous leaders, Tua, Jalen, Mac, Bryce, all of those guys exemplified leadership in their own right. Jalen Milroe, biggest smile in the room. Love what he brings to the table. What do you think about Jalen Milroe on and off the field?
Man, I'll start with the most important one. That's off the field. He's amazing person, amazing individual. One of my good business associates, Jacob Bird, hosted those camps with him, and I was able to be involved with his camp in Tuscaloosa and his camp out in Katy, Texas, in his hometown. And then one of the things that Jacob constantly brought up, man, he was like, Jalen stayed far beyond his contractual agreements. Like, he stayed far beyond his contractual obligations. He was supposed to be there maybe 2 to 3 hours and stayed 5 to 6 to ensure that every single kid got their item autographed. Just a great person, man. Just a great individual. Really understood the importance of equanimity last year and showed true servant leadership. We always talk about trying to be the hands and feet of Christ, but I think that he exemplified that more than a lot of people in the way that he handled that game down at USF. And so that's what it's about, man. Just recognizing that, everybody wants to do their 1 of 11. And sometimes your 1 of 11 might be helping the first team's 1 of 11, right? And he stepped up in that position and handled it well. But man, when I think of Millie, I think of just a hyper competitor. Someone that he just wants to win, just absolutely wants to win. So I think we're in good hands from a leadership perspective, in terms of just continuing that dynasty with Milroe right there.
Yeah, and so this is I wanted to ask you about this. I mean, because I know this is one of your biggest causes, the mentorship. And you don't have to go into too much detail, but like Tony Mitchell, right? And I want to ask, like, why is it important that we don't give up on the youth, even when, like, everybody knows what happened to Tony Mitchell off the field, right? Everybody. It was on YouTube. It had millions of views. But Coach Saban, gave him another chance, right? And kind of set him on the path. And I know he's in the transfer portal. I don't even know where he's going to go. But why is it important, no matter who you are, 5-star, 4-star, 3-star, maybe not even playing football? Why is it important that we don't give up on these people earlier in their lives and continue to provide their mentorship from your perspective?
For sure. Man, I think Coach Saban really answered it perfectly, probably like 2010, 2011, when he spoke about the individual that he coached at, was it Ohio State maybe? Uh, I can't think of what college he was coaching at the time, but the guy ended up playing receiver for the Carolina Panthers, and they wanted him to kick him off the team. I think he'd gotten in some trouble. He got arrested. And Coach Saban came out and essentially said, "Man, hey, if I kick him off the team, is he going to be better with this program or without this program?"
Mhm.
And so Coach Saban did what to many was the politically incorrect thing, which is one of the things I love about Coach Saban is that he is completely indifferent to being politically correct or politically incorrect. He just wants to do the right thing.
Mhm.
Uh, and so I think that was huge. But and just recognizing that for some people, that structure of football is a difference between life or death for him. And Urban Meyer, in the Untold documentary of Urban Meyer and the University of Florida, Urban talks about a kid that he kicked off the program, and a year later he overdosed and passed away.
Mhm.
And the weight that Coach Urban Meyer carried with that. And so, I think it goes both ways. Coach Saban is very intelligent. He's very observant, and he understands subjectively, like, hey, is this a guy that's going to benefit more from me keeping him on the team and me
Mhm.
giving him structure, or is this a guy that needs to have this ball taken away from him in an acute manner, and maybe that's what it is that's going to wake him up to allow him to be successful. So I think, man, even when Coach Saban kicks a kid off the team, whether it's myself, whether it's a guy like DJ Petway, you see how he gave Petway a second opportunity to come back and redefine himself at the university. Coach Saban's allowed me to come back to the university and be a mentor and work with a lot of the athletes. And so I think that, in terms of T. Mitch specifically, look how it's working out. No matter where he goes,
Mhm.
he's still playing ball. He's not sitting in Alabaster depressed because he made a mistake at 17 years old. And we've all made mistakes at 17 years
Mhm.
old. The only difference is our mistakes just didn't make it to ESPN
Yeah.
the way his did. So
Yeah.
I think it's important to just be mindful of the log in our own eyes at all times.
Patriot Life with the $20 super chat. We appreciate you, Patriot Life. Thank you for taking care of us right here on Bama Football on YouTube, and earlier Ephraim as well with the $100 super chat. We appreciate you guys, and thank you very much for supporting the YouTube channel. And please support Donnie Lee through his mission, which is the Lab USA, which you can follow on Instagram. We'll put up the links inside the comment box. What do you tell? I'll let you go here in a few minutes. I know we're just a little bit over, if you don't mind. Donnie, but I want to ask you, what are you telling players that come and talk to you about, NIL, the transfer portal, maybe the transfer portal specifically, because I think sometimes, people might feel that the grass is always greener rather than staying kind of the course. And it really only takes 1 year, the college football level, to really set you apart and to maybe get you a long-term, a big deal with the NFL as opposed to like short-term NIL money. I don't know, like there's a lot to discuss there. That might be a whole nother podcast for another time, but like, what are you telling your guys about NIL, transfer portal, and how that might impact them for better or worse?
For sure. Man, it's crazy because at this point I'm having the exact same conversation with the high school athletes about the transfer portal that I'm having with the college guys, because the transfer portal at this point is alive and well in the high school ranks as well. I think, man, every time I meet with a high school head coach, he's talking to me about his kids being poached away, and about just the recruiting, whether it's in state in Alabama or whether it's kids leaving and wanting to go to Georgia because NIL is legal in Georgia. And so I think, it's like we talked about in 2020. There's a new normal. You took the words out of my mouth, man, verbatim, when you talked about the grass being greener. So I never tell a kid where to transfer. I never tell a kid whether he should or should not hit the transfer portal. Just tell them that I want to support you no matter what uniform color you're wearing.
Mm-hmm.
Just kind of take it from there. But the most important thing I let them know is, if you do decide to transfer, it needs to be for something more than, oh, I'm not starting. Like, it needs to be something more than playing time, because a lot of time playing time is a reflection of the coach's lack of trust with you. And so if there's ways for you to fix that aspect, then let's stay where we're at. And so I always tell them the grass isn't green on the other side. It's green where you water it at. And a lot of times the grass is just greener because it's turf. And so you've got to be aware of the artificial grass out there. And then from a competitive perspective, man, I had college coaches that were reaching out to me. During spring ball, you have a bunch of mid-major coaches that watch the practices, And man, after every practice, coaches would recognize that I was running second team or getting some third team reps, and they seen the guys that I was competing with again, the Judys, the Calvins, the Devontae Smiths, the Jalen Waddles, and they're like, man, if you come to our school, you'll start immediately. Like you don't have to worry about these guys. And in my mind, like that was just so, for one, counterintuitive, and I mean, just honestly disrespectful. I was like, I'm gonna run. Like these same receivers are gonna be in the NFL. Like, if I can't find a way to get on the field right now, there's no point in me dodging it, going to a different university. And sometimes it works, right? Like with JMO, when he left Ohio State, that was probably a good fit with him coming to Alabama, because he wasn't going to get on the field, apparently. But you see the success he had when he got here, and now the success that he's having in Detroit. So I think it's subjective. But to answer the question, man, the grass isn't green on the other side. It's green where you water it at, and you got to be mindful of the turf at all times.
There was like this debate going on, like, I don't know, it was last year or something like that, about your top 5 wide receivers from Bama. Who, I mean, you competed with these guys. Do you have like a ranking? Like, who is like the top dog of them all? For me, it's Smith. For me, look, it's Smitty for me. It took him just that 1 year. But I felt like his mindset, like he had like the Mamba mentality, which not a lot of people have, but like, that guy had it. What about you?
No, Devontae Smith was an absolute dog. I was joking with TJ Simmons on Facebook, going back and forth the other day. Somebody posted, obviously, Smitty got his new contract. God is good. Congratulations to him on that one. Somebody posted a house that he had purchased in Jersey. It was like a $400,000-$500,000 house, and people were talking about just how modest he was. And I put on there, I was like, little do y'all know, Smitty's about to sell this house now, downsize to an even smaller house. TJ was like, he's going to put on 100 acres in Louisiana and just get some horses so he doesn't have to talk to anybody. So Smitty is one of those guys that's like just complete stoic, like Marcus Aurelius level, man. He just wants to do his job, chop wood, carry water, doesn't want to hit the club, doesn't want to celebrate it. One of those you never applaud a fish for swimming kind of guys. But I'd say my number one guy is definitely Amari Cooper. And there's probably not anybody. Some of the really old heads are going to say Julio, and I think Julio is really talented. Don't get me wrong. And I grew up watching Julio, but Julio is a physical freak. Julio Jones is the best athlete to ever play at the University of Alabama. In my opinion, and in everybody else's opinion that's ever been inside of the facility. It's not really close, but in terms of wide receiver, the best route runner, the best hands, the ability to create separation, is Amari Cooper by far. And I think you have to put him at number 1 because Jerry Jeudy, Calvin Ridley, and a lot of those South Florida receivers, they are who they are because of watching Amari Cooper. So they're really reflections of Amari Cooper. So I take Coop 1, I take Smitty 2. I put Julio at 3. I put Calvin at 4. I apologize, Red, and I'm biased here. The guys that I played with. Last time I did this, I got bombarded because apparently you didn't mention such and such. I was like, dog, I wasn't even live when they were playing. I'm not saying that they weren't great receivers. I just haven't seen it. And then I'd probably throw Waddle. I'd throw Waddle in there. He's my favorite receiver to watch. He's my favorite receiver to watch for sure.
Yeah, that's what's up. I appreciate it, man. Okay, last thing. I'm a father, man. I follow you on Instagram, and I post pictures of my kids. It's my kids and my workouts to inspire people to get moving, to be healthy. It's really important to me. And that my kids see that as well, right? Like me pushing myself, and I want them to push themselves in time. I don't want to live vicariously through them. I want them to shine at their own abilities. That's important for me. And I know, when I look at your Instagram, you're a proud father. I mean, it's the biggest blessing, and it's the, biggest responsibility that we have is to be a father to our children. How important is being a father to you, and how has that molded you as a man?
Man, it's everything to me. It's outside of being a son of God. It's the most important identity in my life, and I'm very thankful that at the end of the day, like that's your talent on the football field isn't your talent. It's something that God has given to you. And our position as fathers isn't something that we've earned or deserved. It's something that God has given to us. I think that the ability to create life is one of God's greatest powers, and He's given us that gift. And we shouldn't use that lightly. Man, my daughter Dylan, she's my world. And for for me, it's very important to show a lot of the kids that call them kids, and they're all men now. Every time I look up, they're getting older and they're having children of their own. But I used to take a lot of pride in, man, I want people to see the athletes that I've trained and know that I've trained them by the way that they compete. Like I want them to know that I've worked with them by the way they carry themselves on and off the field. Ben Allen, you hit that on the nail. I want them to look at them and say, man, like you can tell that they've been in the lab, that they understand the process, things of that nature. Coach Kerry Stevenson, that used to be at Alabama, we were at Touches Academy watching a game one day, and he was like, Donnie, you can tell that these kids have worked with you and Johnny DeWhite, another guy I played with at Bama, who worked with me because of how they were competing, and they were talking a little trash, which he brought that aspect up too. He was like, that definitely came from y'all too. But man, I still had to say, when I see the guys that I started training in 2020 that have kids now, and the way that they're fathering their children, man, that means more to me than anything they could have ever done on the football field. Brian Lanier, who was at Alabama, is starting at the university at Mississippi State University as a DB. He's got his son Kazi, and they were at the spring game together, and just seeing that, man, and getting the guys to really understand that, man, there's nothing more important. And if we want to fix our society, it really starts with the fathers. It really starts with the men stepping it up. I'm not going to get into anything like Harrison Butker. I don't want to get canceled, but men, we definitely need to step it up and just take more responsibility. And fatherhood is the most important role we have in that.
Man, I love it, man. I'm a big fan of you, man. And I just want to tell you, man to man, I really respect you. I respect what you stand for. If you need any type of support, I'm going to talk to you offline about some other ideas that I have through my men's group, because we want to definitely continue to empower men, especially the youth. So I want a full court press, man coverage, and continue to help you in any shape or form. Please follow Donnie Lee, founder of the lab here in Tuscaloosa, a really important member of our community. And I really appreciate you jumping on, man, and being real and talking about a little bit of football, a little bit of life, and the most important thing, fatherhood, man. So you have a big supporting cast from us right here at Bama Football on YouTube. We love having you on, man. So anytime you want to come up, man, I'll hit you up, and maybe you jump on and we can talk shop or whatever. But if there's anything else, just want to know that I'm here for you. I really appreciate you. And thank you so much, man, for joining us today.
Man, I appreciate you, my brother. Anytime, dog. Always love, Kyle.
Yeah, absolutely, man. All right. Donnie Lee Jr., man, I'll close it out, man. I'll close up the show, man. Appreciate you, Donnie.
Yes, sir. Have a good one, boss. Roll Tide.
All right. Roll Tide to you, man. I mean, there's individuals that are classy cats that, just are kind of like the standard. He's the standard, right, of being a man. And we want to support those type of people who are making impact on the community. And plus he played with, some of the best wide receivers, a wide receiver himself. And his story is interesting, got kicked off the team, was brought back on by Coach Saban. And now you look at the difference he's making. And, sometimes we have to go back to hit rock bottom to be able to move forward in life. I mean, raise your hand if it's been easy for you to continue to, grow as an adult, right? There's different things and different challenges that you're always facing. But when you're moving in a positive light and especially making an impact on others, it's probably the most important thing, right? Is service to others. So I love that message from Donnie Lee. Just did a killer job. Earlier today, we got a chance to watch the NCAA football trailer. We posted a little bit of that, the reaction with Coach Merrill, Coach Sean, and Ty. That's amazing. I can't wait to get on the sticks. Look, I don't play video games like I used to. I kind of always wondered in my life, like, when would I stop playing video games? Was when I got, when I had children and I had responsibilities and all this other stuff, which is fine. But I'm definitely going to get on the sticks for this one and, see what I can do. See how this old 40-year-old can play NCAA football. But it was amazing to see. And I'm really happy for the players that are in the game. And I'm glad that the players are now getting paid and they got all that stuff figured out. I feel like we're never going to have NCAA football again. So I'm glad to have that on kind of on the back burner. And I guess the early release date is July 16th and July 19th is when we can get the game in play. So, yeah, I hope you guys had a really good Friday morning with Coach Sean, Merrill, and Ty. They do such a great job for us right here on Bama Football on YouTube, and I appreciate you guys. Thank you for being a supporter of our YouTube channel. Thank you, Efron, for your $100 today. Patriot Life taking care of us, and everybody inside the Undefeated. If you want to become a fan funder of our YouTube channel, just hit the hyperlink. It says join, and as low as $2.99, you can support the product. We really appreciate you guys being here and sticking with us as news happens right here on Bama Football on YouTube. My name is Kyle Henderson of Bama Football on YouTube. This is what I do for a full-time basis, and I'm really grateful that I'm able to do this on a professional level to contribute to you guys every single day right here on Bama Football on YouTube. Appreciate it. Southern Red, thanks for being here. William, Ben, Hacker Music, Corey, Patriot Life. Let's see who else we got here. Ben, CSN, Efron, of course, and everybody else inside the Undefeated. So I just want to wish you a fantastic Friday. If you guys want to follow me on Instagram inspirational workout videos, Mr. Kyle Henderson, and of course follow Donnie Lee Jr., the Lab USA. But I appreciate you very much for being a member of Bama Football on YouTube. I wish you the best Friday. If news happens, got you covered right here at Bama Football on YouTube. From beautiful Tuscaloosa, Alabama, have a nice Friday, and I'll catch up with you soon right here on Bama Football on YouTube.